is an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. It seems to be a sudden, general explosion of mass homicide. Consistent reports from witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered.
Incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria. First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent. Officials and newsmen first discounted their eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, reports persisted. Medical examinations of some of the victims bore out the fact that they had been partially devoured. I think we have some late word that's just arriving, and I'll interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact. When this emergency first began, radio and television was advising people to stay inside, behind locked doors for safety. Well, that situation has now changed. We're able to report a definite course of action. Civil defense machinery has been organized to provide rescue stations with food, shelter, medical treatment, and protection by armed National Guardsmen. Stay tuned to the broadcasting stations in your local area for this list of rescue stations. This list will be repeated throughout our news coverage. Look for the name of the rescue station nearest you and make your way to that location as soon as possible.
No longer seek occupancy in private residences, no matter how safe or well protected they may be.
They use maybe 5% of the food available in the human body.
The kind of thing.
With that small amount, the body is usually intact enough to be mobile when it revives.
What are you saying? I mean, you science.
Dummies!
You're suggesting...
Dummies! Dummies!
Excuse me. Listen, quiet.
One wonders whether it's worth saving. Why don't we drop bombs in all the big cities?
You're probably serious.
I'm deadly serious. What are the choices? They won't run out of food, young lady. That's the problem, you see. And they won't run out of food while we're still alive.
We can lift you out to safety. Please answer my call if you can hear me.
We've got to remain logical. We've got to. There's no choice. It has to be. It's that or the end.
Hey, it's Greg Nicotero. You are, or if you're not, should be watching Alpha Romero on YouTube.
And we are live. What's going on, guys?
Hey, man.
Yeah,
how's it going?
what's up?
How's everybody doing in the chat tonight? We're going a little early tonight. As you can see, there's still a little daylight behind me. I'm not used to this. So I got my red rum mug full of coffee here, ready to go.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
In honor of Dirk, because I know, Dirk, I believe that is Shining is your favorite film, I believe.
Oh, definitely, man. I gotta give me one of them.
Well, I got this. I actually got this at the actual the hotel that The Shining is based off of in Colorado at Estes Park.
Oh, damn.
Ooh, nice.
it's pretty cool. They actually have like a whole gift shop of just The Shining stuff there. I got a T-shirt, a mug. It's a little tourist attraction.
I might go broke in that bitch.
It's pretty cool, and they do like haunted tours and all this. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But how's everybody in the chat doing? Hope you're doing well. A little early on Saturday night, but hopefully, maybe since we got the Eurocrypt podcast on here, maybe some of our friends over in the UK and over in the European part of the world that always miss my streams because I'm on too late, and then it's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning by the time I'm on over there. So hopefully you guys are joining us as well. But as I mentioned, the Eurocrypt podcast down below me. Here, that is Dirk. Down here, right there. I got to work on that, but that's Darren. Check them out. How you guys doing, man?
Man, doing great, man. It's been a pretty relaxing day. Not too crazy of a week, but things are starting to pick up. So just trying to keep it between the fences.
Yeah.
Same, yeah, just chilling, man. Looking forward to this one. We got doing a couple of streams this weekend, so I've been preparing and that, and yeah, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to finally get you guys on. I did a stream with you guys a few months back when we talked about Zombie 3, which is one of my all-time favorites. 28 days later and Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. So I was like, all right, let's get you on. We're going to talk about 3 Romero films, but the special spin on this one, this episode, we're going to talk about 3 Romero films that are tied to Argento, the European versions of these films. Of course, I'm talking about Zombie, of course.
Right.
Vampire, Two Evil Eyes, as well as another little topic of one of the big mysteries out there that people are always wanting to find out more about. We'll kind of talk about that just a little bit here. But yeah, I had a busy day. Made a trip down to Nashville to pick up a little something for my boy Matt, and that was fun. While I was in Nashville, I was actually able to stop. There's a store in Nashville. I don't know if I think there's one in Knoxville too. It's called McKay's. It's like a big, I don't know. It's a big ass store. It's got Blu-rays, DVDs, vinyl, books, puzzles, board games, everything. It's just like secondhand stuff. But I mean, it's huge and just packed.
We need more of those, man.
Dude, you would go crazy in a place like that.
The only place in Tennessee I've ever been was hold on, Chattanooga. Is that right?
Chattanooga, yeah.
That's my brother lives in Atlanta, so
okay, yeah, that's where
GPS. I got lost one time. Fucking went to Chattanooga.
Well, dude, driving through Nashville now, like I used to know Nashville like the back of my hand in my 20s. I used to go to Nashville all the time. That was party central. Like we knew Nashville, every weekend. Yeah. It's grown so much. There's so many like new developments and so many people moving there that it's unrecognizable for me at this point.
Yeah, landscapes are changing, man. People are changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, did that today. I got back about an hour ago. That's why I texted you. I was like, I'm gonna send it to you at some point. Just hang on. The link to join to the stream. But I did pick up. I want to show this real quick. Get you guys' thoughts on. I did pick up a few. I picked up a Blu-ray and a few DVDs here from McKay's. And I usually don't buy a lot of DVDs anymore. Just because I have so many, and it's I don't really watch them as much. But these were some that I didn't have that were kind of cool. I was like, oh shit. But I did get a Blu-ray, and I know Dirk, you're a fan of this one.
Oh yeah, man.
Herzog's Nosferatu, the Vampire. I did not own this on Blu-ray. I've been looking for it forever. Finally found it, picked it up. Awesome. Did you guys like the newer one, the Robert Eggers?
Oh yeah, Nosferatu? Man, you called it too. You said I was gonna love it, and I did. I went and seen it twice. It's a 10 out of 10 film for me, and to me, I think it's the best one. And I love all three.
Okay.
But I've got it lined up to watch, but I've just not pulled the trigger yet.
To me, it's the best, man. Like what Eggers did, he's because I see a lot of people talking about the mustache and all, but you look at the source material.
Hey, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the stash. Come on,
Right.
come on. It's coming back. All right, it's coming
Look
back.
at the source material, though.
Yeah.
You know? That's all I gotta say. So.
Yeah,
But no,
I've
I love
always,
it, man.
yeah, I've always loved Herzog's version. I love Klaus
Yeah,
Kinski in that. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's
It's
just
great. It's great. But Eggers, he I think a lot of people are confused about the chick that looks possessed and shit. But that's showing the necromancer vampire.
Yeah.
He's using his necromancy, controlling her and shit.
Okay, yeah. I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, you kind of always think of like Dracula and Lugosi doing the hand thing.
Right.
It's kind of a new take on that. Yeah, you're right. I never really thought about that. So I got that one on Blu-ray, and then I got 4 DVDs I picked up because I didn't own them and I had to have them. And talking about Zombie 3 a minute ago, I did not have Zombie 4, so I figure I might as well pick up Zombie 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The great Claudio Fragasso here.
You can't go wrong with it, man.
I've still not seen 4 or 5. I do own them.
It's been years since I've seen 4 and 5 actually. I've probably seen 4 more recently. Yeah.
So I mean, it's fine.
So I had to get that one, and this is one I didn't have. I thought it was kind of cool. It's the extended version of Halloween with the TV. TV stuff that they shot for it. I didn't have it. I saw it. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So I picked that up. Greg Nicotero's favorite non-Romero zombie film, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. I didn't have this on DVD, and it was like $4, so I was like, yeah, I gotta have it.
Right, Bob Clark, yeah?
Yeah. It was like Bob Clark's first film, his debut,
It's a decent
I believe.
film considering, you know. I think it's 72 that was shot, 1972 maybe.
72, you called it. But yeah, I remember getting this. I remember getting the VHS of the Anchor Bay release of this from like a Kroger back in the day for, $2 or $3. And I was like, wow, I've never heard of this. It's a zombie movie, I guess, but I'll give it a shot. And the title, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, it kind of sounds like a kid's movie. So I was like, I don't know, we'll see. Then you watch it and you're like, okay, this is not a kid's movie at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, had to get that one. And then I don't know if you guys have seen this huge piece of shit. It's so bad even John Russo doesn't like it, but I didn't have it, so I had to get it. Children of the Living Dead. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, is that the one with Savini?
Yeah, it's got Savini in like the first 10 minutes.
I don't think I have.
I'm pretty sure I watched it back in the day.
There was a period of my life.
That. Yeah, really.
There was a period of my life where shit was a blur, so I might have seen it. I don't know.
I mean, you could watch it. You could watch it right now, and then by tomorrow, the movie will be a blur. I mean, it's really fucking bad. I will say the first 10 minutes of this movie there's the first 10 or 15 minutes with Tom Savini. It's actually pretty fun. It's actually pretty good. The rest of the movie is unwatchable. So, and I guess the story behind that is like John Russo was originally wrote the script for this, and they ended up changing it all to hell, and the director's daughter, the producer's daughter, or somebody ended up rewriting it like 5 times and then completely screwing it up, and then they ended up spending most of their budget on the first few days of shooting, which would be the first 10-15 minutes of the movie, which are the only thing worth watching in this movie. And so the rest of the movie had no budget, and it was just strung together. So yeah, it's a colossal clusterfuck, but it's worth checking out for the first 10-15 minutes at least.
They draw you in with the name, though, don't they?
That cover make you grab it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, shit, it's an executive producer of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, that's interesting. Screenplay by John Russo. Okay, that's interesting. It's got Heidi Heinzman in it, Tom Savini, Marty Schiff. Like, if you're Romero fans, a lot of people, Sam Nicotero, Bill Heinzman was the cinematography on that. Like, so you're like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. Let's see what this is.
All the boxes there, until you actually...
Until you watch it, you watch it. It's notoriously bad. So yeah, I was able to pick that up today, and then also got this on vinyl. It's I don't know if you guys have seen Paper Moon.
Yeah.
I talked about. I got the Criterion of that a couple weeks ago, and I ended up picking. I found the vinyl for $3. I was like, yeah, I gotta have that too.
Nice.
Love that.
Who did that one?
This is Peter Bogdanovich. This is probably early 70s, some 73, I think.
Okay.
It's got Ryan O'Neal, Tatum O'Neal in it, Madeline Kahn.
Yeah. I've
It's
heard of
it's
Not
the
sure.
ultimate girl dad movie is what I call it.
Okay.
It's really really good. So yeah, I was able to pick that up today. So let's see. Let's hit the comments real quick, and then I got you're on the hot seat. 10 questions here.
Right, so I've got a question for you before we start.
Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Did you order the Beyond 4K?
No, I didn't. No.
No, are you regretting it, or are you happy with the fact that you didn't order it?
I like the Beyond.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not one of my favorite Fulci films.
It's my all-time favorite.
Okay.
Your all-time favorite. I know everybody loves it, man. I trust me. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy it,
Right.
but it's not one that I go back to a whole lot as much as I do like, Zombie, City of the Living Dead, or anything else in that time period. I even kind of like House by the Cemetery more than Beyond, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's high tier for me as well.
So, yes, I couldn't justify spending $70 or whatever on that right away. I mean, I'm fine. Maybe if it pops, maybe if there's a standard edition that Grindhouse does, I'll get that.
That's what I was thinking of, because I missed out, and then Dirk messaged me late last night and said they got another. So I looked on site.
They did another
had
round.
another 500 or something.
Yeah,
Like,
something like that.
I obviously tried to get it myself, and they won't ship. You've probably rights with the UK.
Oh,
so
really?
Dirk, lucky enough, got me one, and I was regretting the last couple of days not getting it first time.
Oh, I know. I've had that FOMO going on because CK has been all in the Discord like, oh, you boys better pick this some bitch up or it's gonna be gone forever. And I'm just like, do I need this? Do I need this? And I'm just like, Are they still available? Or are they sold out again?
It went within an hour second time.
Last I checked, it was that was a while back ago today. It had like 700 left, but
it went back up then, because they went down to like 500 last night, and then it was gone. Like I went back.
Yeah, I thought they were at like 500.
So they must have did another round.
They must be finding them in the warehouse somewhere. Boxes.
I mean, if a company like that, if they're selling like hotcakes, keep making them. Shit, I guarantee you they haven't printed all those yet. They're getting all the orders in first before they print them up. It's like made to order shit,
Yeah.
So why not, man? Just keep them up and keep printing that money. Shit.
Yeah, man.
I think they underestimated.
That one right there is like such a puzzle of a film, and it always twists my brain up. So it's definitely my favorite Fulci because of that reason. So
yeah, I mean it's a good movie. Like it's one of Fulci's best for sure. But it's for some reason it's just one that I don't go back to that often, as often as I
think maybe
I do the
Louisiana
others.
connection too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would put Haste above it, Haste by the Cemetery above it as well. Like Don't Torture a Duckling, I would probably put as my number one.
I'm almost at a point now where I think, and Fulci, was his favorite of his movies. With Don't Torture a Duckling, maybe my favorite Fulci film. Like after, because it took me a while to finally see it. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, man, this is just a really, really good, well-made fucking movie. Like it's spot on.
It's definitely the best rural giallo you'll find.
I think there's that and Haste with the Laughing Windows. If you put them two together in a double feature,
you got some of Lindsay's stuff too. Life of Ice you could put in there with, but anyway, I'm not trying to go on a tangent on.
No, you're good, man.
On the giallo.
Definitely. So let me see who we got in the chat here. So I see Synth's in the house. What's up, Synth? Hey, y'all.
What's happening,
Always
man?
good to talk about
what's
Romero.
up,
You
man?
had Synth on recently talking about demons and Demons 2 in the church. That was a good fun episode. Demons, I swear to God, like that's one of my all-time favorite movies, period. Like that's a damn near perfect movie to me. I fucking love Demons.
You can put Demons on at any time, can't you? Even if you got it on in the background, you're doing something. It plays well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So good to see Synth. We got Rick, the North Going Llama. What's going on, Rick? I guess hoo-ha is supposed to be hiya, so we'll go with hiya on that one. What's up, Rick? Since saying I already did 2 music tech podcasts today, nice to kick back and relax for a change. We'll kick back and relax and listen to us babble for a little bit, Synth. You've done your work for today, sir.
Yeah.
Bonnie Bailey's in the house. What's up, Bonnie? Good to see Bonnie as always. Brandon Salisbury's in the house. What's up, Brandon? Have you guys watched Brandon's documentary, George A. Romero's Resident Evil yet?
No.
Seen that yet?
I haven't had access to watch that at the moment.
Are you guys fans of the Resident Evil games back in the day?
The games I was a little bit 1 and 2.
The first one I played a lot.
The second one I really got into for a hot minute. But
yeah.
After that, though, I don't know. I got away from games quite a bit, but
yeah, I've grown out of gaming too at this point. Like you couldn't pay me to sit down and play a game these days. I'm just like, I could be doing something else with my time now.
It's such a time suck, you know.
Yeah.
You can be playing.
You got to be committed, especially
8 hours
now.
later. You look up and the sun's coming up. You know,
especially now, you gotta be in competition online and all that shit. Like, dude, you got little 6-year-olds beating your ass. You're like, oh man, talking shit to you, you know.
Yeah, that was a big moment for me is when I was playing Madden one night online at my cousin's house. And I thought I was good at Madden because I could beat pretty much everybody I knew. And then I got online and played, and there was some little kid just talking shit. It was just like, you fucking suck. And he was kicking my ass, man. I was like, yeah, I think I'm too old for this now. I think I've been surpassed.
Talking about my mama and everything.
Yeah. You fucking suck. I'm like, goddamn, how old are you, kid?
Right.
It's like, none of your business, bitch. I'm like, oh, damn. Matt Lander, what's going on, man? Good to see Matt. The item has been secured, sir. I'll let Matt disclose what it is, but helped him out today. Good to see Matt as always. Ed, Trader Music and Entertainment. Saying I've been working on a documentary about how VHS has still kicked DVD and Blu-ray's ass. Interesting. Hope your podcast all went well. Very cool.
Cool.
See, we got Stephen Ustrack Jr. Howdy, campers. Howdy, Stephen. 1911 Guitar Dude. Hi, everyone. Still loving this montage opening. It's great. Well, thank you very much, sir. I'm hoping everybody's not sick of it yet.
Night of Living Dead, man, that's big time nostalgia for me, dude. Like when I was a kid, I mean, I snapped the VHS tape and then I taped it back together, the tape.
Oh yeah, we've all done that.
It was actually the first VHS I bought at a garage sale for like 50 cents. At a yard sale, I mean, you know. For like 50 cents, man. And I played that shit out. But yeah.
Do you remember which one you had? Did you have the you didn't have the original like media?
No, this was like some piece of shit. Something that you get like there was like a copy of a copy of a copy. You know what I mean? Like, and it had real shitty cover art too. I can't remember it.
Yeah, there's so many releases of Night of the Living Dead out there that it's just like, because it's just, you know, public domain or whatever. So
yeah, but I was like 6 years old, man, when I, you know, watching that shit. So
let's see, we got Sensei hi to everybody. S'mores and Doors, what's going on, man? S'mores and Doors, greetings, gentlemen.
Yeah, man.
Good to have you in here, sir. Let's see where Since Santa spent New Year's Eve in Nashville back in 2004, cold but fun. Yeah, I've spent New Year's Eve in Nashville one time, and that was it for me. It was the year Leonard Skinner was playing downtown, and I thought I was going to have a panic attack because there were so many people. It was so many people you couldn't move. You were just stuck in one spot. Yeah. Like there was no like moving through people. It was just like wherever you're at. Like, you know, I was like, oh, fuck this, I'm out of here. I ain't doing this again. See Matt saying, hell yeah, you're Saint brother. Thank you, guy. You're very welcome, man. Since Fragasso is generally terrible, gloriously terrible, yeah.
Yeah, just watch Night Killer.
Fragasso and Matei, right? They go hand in hand.
Oh yeah. The power duo that came together for fucking Zombie 3, yeah.
I think Uncle Bill loves Fragasso. Well, I can see the appeal.
And Matei, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love Bruno Matei.
Same person. Like really, like if you watch their film, that'd be a good show, right? To try to decipher who did what, you know?
Who was the worst / best at? But you gotta love it because I mean their whole goal in making those movies it wasn't about like great performances or great script or anything. It was just about like let's put as much action and gore and let's make it as entertaining as possible,
right?
For as many people, you know.
Yeah,
and I respect that. You know?
Quality came second.
Yeah. It was like, acting schmacting. Who needs that? Matt says, actually watching Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things today. Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm going to pop that DVD in. I still never got that on Blu-ray or 4K. I think it's out on 4K now.
VS put that out, right? I believe VS did.
I don't
I've
remember.
got the same release as you, but
I think
I've
Vinegar
only got it
Syndrome
on
put it
DVD.
out, but I haven't picked it up. So.
Maybe, yeah.
Because Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things fans here. Oh man, that one is bad. Savini is kind of funny. Okay, Children of the Living Dead. A lot of children movies I guess. Yeah, Savini's the best part of that movie. Like the first 10-15 minutes, like, is pretty damn entertaining. And then, spoiler alert, as soon as Savini dies, it's like, okay, it's all going to hell now. But so you can watch the first 10 or 15, then turn it off. Bonnie saying guilty pleasure children is so bad. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Bonnie. Yes, it is. See, Ed said, question for Darren. In the spirit of being Euro, Samantha Fox or Kim Wilde?
Right, okay, so
Samantha Fox.
it depends on how, like, for musical ability or for other,
No, I'm not talking about musical ability.
For physical ability.
Physical ability, Samantha Fox all day long.
Right.
All day long.
I don't know, man. Even musical, I mean, you can't be naughty girls need love.
There you go, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Samantha Fox on that one.
I was a big Samantha Fox guy growing up, you know. Page
How could you
Freeze
not
used to
be?
do topless shots in the newspapers back when you could do that. And then I just grew up with that, you know, as a young boy.
Woo, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that over here at any time. You can't even do that now. Kirk.
Yeah.
Kirk Redgate, what's going on, man? What is going on? Yeah, Kirk, going a little early tonight, so I'm glad you could catch us, man.
Okay.
Finally got Steven finally got the Crazies on Blu-ray. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations, love
That's
the
a good one.
Crazies.
And then the first time I seen it was on a watch along you did.
Oh, really? That was the first time you
remember?
you'd seen it? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I didn't know that was your first time seeing it though.
Yeah, I'd
That's
seen that
pretty-
shitty remake, but I had to see the original. And I think we mentioned Season of the Witch that a lot of people shit on, but I dig that one a lot.
Yeah, I love it. I tried to do a watch along of that, and it just completely fell apart. Like the version I was watching was all screwed up. Like I was having technical issues. I was just like, this is cursed. Like there's something eerily apropos about that, I guess, trying to watch a movie about witchcraft and then while you're trying to watch like everything possible is going on. It's like being on the set of The Exorcist or something, you know.
Right.
Kirk says Don't Torture a Duckling on 4K arrived today. Blind buy, looking forward to it. I think you'll like it, Kirk. I think you'll like it.
Oh man, that's his first time I'm gonna see it. Holy shit, that's great.
I still haven't opened the 4K up yet, but I'm waiting to do that.
I got it coming.
You'll love that film, I think. I don't know your music, your watching taste, Kirk, but I think you'll enjoy that.
Yeah, you either love it or hate it. There's no in between. So.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those movies that is so well made and is so good. It's not like one of those acquired tastes type of Fulci films, like you know, maybe like the New York Ripper or something like that. It might be an acquired taste. Like you're either gonna like it or you're not. Don't Torture a Duckling is like it's really well made film.
It is.
You've always got that scene with Barbara Boucher as well. So if you don't actually like the film, you're gonna like that scene. So
right,
you'll find something to like about it.
Subject matter is dark as shit.
Yeah. That's very true. Robert, what's going on, man? Robert Harbitz II is in the house. What's going on, Robert? Good to have you in here as always, man.
Yeah.
Sensei, can't forget the girl in Demons. It looks like Bob in House by the Cemetery.
Yeah.
The hot punk, the blonde hot punk.
Yeah.
I don't know how hot she is, but
I got shot down when I said that. She's hot.
Are we sure that it wasn't the kid that played Bob? Because I mean, it was a couple of years later. Maybe grown up.
Yeah.
Bob actually turns up at the end of that film. Anyway, he's at the back on the back of the truck.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's about 13 or 14. Yeah.
Huh. Didn't know that.
She does exactly look like him. It's weird.
Yeah.
See, Kirk asking about a UK release of George's Resident Evil. I don't know. I think it's coming out later this year. So I know it's available for stream right now on Amazon and a few other platforms, but I'm not sure Not sure about overseas quite yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Since I gave up video games for making music, something had to go. Yeah, you really you can't be a serious, you can't really seriously get into video games at this point in time if you have anything else in your life going on. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you got to pick and choose, man. It's just too much to do. Too many things.
See, Rick, Samantha Fox forever. I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ed saying I have Samantha Fox's nude picture disc, but Kim is good too. So there you go. Scratch Burno, what's going on, Scratch?
What's happening, man?
What's up, man?
See Scratch in here. And then Robert's saying, will the Resident Evil doc ever be released on physical media? That is coming out on physical media at some point. I know Brandon's talked about that before in certain spots, and there's a plan for a physical release of that at some point. I have seen like Blu-rays popping up on eBay of that here recently, but I'm thinking they're bootlegs or something, because I don't think there's an actual official release yet. But if you don't mind a bootleg, it's on eBay. I've seen it. So, all right. Kirk said, "Did you watch Carnival of Souls yet?" I have not. I have not watched Carnival of Souls yet.
I've seen that. Yeah. Criterion's got a really good release of it.
That'll probably be the version that I'd want to watch then, because I love Criterion's stuff.
Yeah.
So
you got to be in the mood, I think, for like a slow.
I think you'll like it. I think it's right up your alley, for sure.
Yeah, everybody's been saying I need to check it because it's one I haven't checked out, and apparently, according to a lot of people, it's very, you can see a lot of inspiration that George drew for Night of the Living Dead from it. So I definitely want to check that out.
Right.
Since saying Samantha Fox, easy on the eyes, not the ears.
That's a good way.
Well, I never did listen. I mean, so much for me.
Yeah, there is a mute button for a reason. So, all right. So good to have everybody in the chat tonight. Before we get into the main topics here, we're gonna go 10 questions with the boys from the Eurocrypt podcast. You guys ready?
Yeah, man.
Yep.
All right. 10 questions. First question. Favorite Romero film? Dirk first. Go ahead.
Oh, Night of the Living Dead. Easy.
Darren?
Okay. Day of the Dead for me.
Okay. Night.
Easily as well. Yeah.
Okay. Question 2. Least favorite Romero film? Dirk?
Oh, hell. I'm about to shock this chat.
I think you already know the answer to this one.
No, I don't. I can't say that. Actually. Oh man, go ahead, Darren. Let me think about it for a second.
I would say Dawn. I'd have to say Dawn for me. I know.
Oh man.
All right, Darren is no longer with us, guys.
I was praying the question wouldn't come up, to be honest. Like, because me and Dirk was talking about it in the week. It's like, I don't want to come on you and piss all over something.
Is it Survival of the Dead? I got it.
Survival of the Dead's a good one to pick for that.
Yeah, I think
that's the last one Romero did.
I think that, or it might be that other one. That what's his last film he made?
The very last one he did was Survival.
Yeah. Okay.
Survival of the Dead. That was the one where they're on the island, and
that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty popular answer.
Now you say that, I'd have to go with that as well, because it's
because I had to think for a second.
Worse than
I can't say that Dawn's worse than that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, we can get into that. Let's see. Question 3. What is the best Romero film? What do you think is Romero's best film?
Okay.
Best made overall objectively?
Yeah, just like technically made, acting, where everything just comes together perfectly for you.
I would say probably, but that's Creepshow, right?
Creepshow? That's a good one.
Okay. I would still go with Day of the Dead. I think it's a complete masterpiece.
Okay.
Everything about that film works.
Yeah.
I agree with both of those. Creepshow is just like one of those, it's like...
That's big nostalgia, too, when I was a kid. Like, I've seen it so much and watched it so much, and you know what I mean?
It's just that one segment, the last one, I don't like. And
I love it all. I love the roach shit. I know a lot of people don't like it, but that son of a bitch, I hated him, and if something can make me hate something, then it did its job. It drew an emotion out of me, so it was effective. That's just
Yeah, it was a big one for me as well, growing up on VHS and Creep Show all the time.
It was
I do
on.
like the second one though, actually a little bit more than the first, but it's just that one segment at the end. Otherwise, it's a great film. I can't deny
Well,
that.
see, originally they were going to leave off the last one. They were just going to do the 4 stories, and they weren't going to do they're creeping up on you with the roaches and all that. And then they ended up pulling it off and making sure that it was on there at the end. And that was the one that when I first saw, because I don't like bugs or anything like that. Like that shit. Like I can look at people being torn apart and heads falling off and all this other shit, but as soon as I see some fucking shit crawling around, that's when I just start getting,
That's disturbing as shit as a little kid, dude. Watching them roaches come out of that dude.
What would be both of your favorite segment of the Creep Show then? Both of you.
Probably Father's Day, right?
Okay.
Father's Day.
For
You mentioned Creep Show 2. I like Creep Show 2 a lot. The Raft would be up there for me. I think The Raft is a really fun segment from Creep Show 2, but probably my favorite. It's either The Crate, which I think The Crate would be. The Crate would be a good standalone film. Like you could expand on that and make a full 90-minute feature out of that.
Yeah.
But I also have a soft spot for Something to Tide You Over just because of Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
That's what I'm saying. It hits that one hits for me. All of them.
Yeah.
Like Father's Day. It was something about I want my cake, man. When I was a kid.
Yeah. Of course, you got Galen Ross as well, which is great in that one.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just always been a huge fan of Leslie Nielsen since I was a kid and watching him in like Naked Gun, Airplane, and then you see him in Creep Show and he's like the bad guy, just this evil son of a bitch, and you're just like, wow, okay, that's different.
I think he's in Prom Night as well, isn't he? He's the Jamie Lee Curtis's
and then Day of the Animal, he's a crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one? Remember?
I have not. I haven't seen that.
Oh, check that out. You want to talk about batshit crazy Leslie Nielsen?
What year did that come out?
That's early 70s.
Early 70s?
77, I want to say.
Was it 77?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, shit. It's same. I'm blanking on the guy's name. Same director did Grizzly, right?
William Girdler, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Oh man, Day of the Animals.
Well, I mean, you could see even in Creep Show, you could see how good of a villain he could be. Like, because, you used to see him in Naked Gun, Lieutenant Frank Drebin, and you're just like, because that's what I grew up on, because in the 90s, he was just kind of the comedy guy. Yeah. He was doing, like, Spy Hard and Wrongfully Accused and all that shit. So the first time I saw Creep Show and Leslie Nielsen pops up, and he's just, like, this diabolical, like, psychopath. It's like, wow, okay, this is different. But yeah, I'm going to have to check that out, because I know Leslie Nielsen was in, what was the movie he was in years prior to that, in, like, the 50s, early 60s? It's like a science fiction movie or something. I can't remember. But he's supposed to be like the leading man, but it didn't never worked out. I don't know. But yeah, huge Leslie Nielsen fan. Most underrated Romero film.
Okay.
To me, it might be The Crazies, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Land of the Dead.
Ooh,
even though
okay.
I'm not massive on some of the things in there, but I do enjoy that film quite a bit, more than most, I would say. So
yeah, I like Land of the Dead. I enjoy it a lot. I think some of the casting decisions I was not a big fan of, but I think as a whole, I feel like if that movie was directed by anybody else and it wasn't George A. Romero, who was trying to follow up, the greatest trilogy in horror ever, in my opinion, trying to follow that up 20 years later, it's like your expectations are so high that it's just like you're never going to reach it. But I feel like if it was directed by somebody else and it was like not a Romero film, I think it would get a lot more love and respect than it does now. So I tend to agree with that.
Okay.
Okay. Question 5: favorite non-Romero zombie film?
Oh, that's Zombie 2. I mean,
right, for me again, Burial Ground I would go with. The Zombie 2 would be kind of right there as well.
Very cool.
It's hard to come on you and defend like I like Burial Ground more than Dawn of the Dead, but I expect to be shot down anymore.
But I can mention another one though. Like White Zombie is like a personal, personal film for me. Like Bela Lugosi when I was a kid. I was watching a bunch of that kind of the old stuff, and it's the take on the voodoo type vampires as well,
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but
It's funny, Burial Ground. Darren. You're the second guy in a row that's answered Burial Ground to that question. Ed, when I had Ed Trader Music Entertainment on here, his answer was Burial Ground too. I was like, okay, I can dig that.
Yeah,
it's just fun, isn't it?
It's so weird and so out there, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, right there, right next to you, Dirk. You got him making a cameo appearance there.
This cross smells of death.
It looks like he's lying in bed next to you.
It does, like he's just hanging out, See, question 6: favorite horror score or soundtrack?
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's The Shining, man.
Shining.
It's got to be opera for me. Argento's opera. I absolutely love that soundtrack.
Yeah.
I even like the metal songs in it and just everything. The operatic and the changing. Yeah, opera all day for me.
I always thought that was interesting, Argento's use of like the metal bands and stuff during that time period in the soundtrack, starting because it was like I guess it kind of started with Demons, right? Because he didn't really do that.
He did Phenomena as well, the same year as Demons.
Yeah, and that had
Iron Maiden, Flash of the Blade, and yeah.
So Lamberto as well was doing that.
Yeah.
Let's see. But go kick that dog. Speaking of Argento, question 7: favorite Argento film?
Opera for me again.
Okay,
definitely.
Yeah. Suspiria. The hell am I tripping, man? Because I've seen his whole filmography.
I'm sure Dirk's going to say Suspiria.
Yeah. I was blanket because I'm on the fence sometimes. It used to be Tenebrae, and it's recently went back to Suspiria within the past year. But I've seen all his films except the 5 Days film or whatever.
I got that. I've still yet to finish it. I got like halfway through it, and I was just like, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, I know that's not going to be.
It wasn't.
10, so.
Yeah, it wasn't knocking my socks off, as Captain Rhodes would say. But yeah, like Suspiria. Like I'm with you, Dirk. Like I go back and forth between Suspiria and Tenebrae all the time because I love Tenebrae. So I go back and forth with that one. Opera. I like opera. Like to me, that's probably Argento's last great film of that time period. Because then after that, we get into Two Evil Eyes, Trauma, and the stuff in the '90s. Which there's some good stuff. Like there's not really an Argento film that I just downright hate that I just don't want to watch.
Oh, there's a couple that I downright hate. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay,
Dracula 3D comes to mind, but
Phantom of the Opera is pretty fucking rough.
I think his last big film was Dark Glasses, the last one he did.
Oh, that's good.
I'm a huge fan of like Sleepless. Dirk knows his Stendhal syndrome is right up there for me as well.
And it's crazy because Darren, Stendhal syndrome, I hated that shit. And I had to watch it 3 times before it finally clicked. And now I love the damn thing. So
I kept on to Dirk to watch it. Give it another go. Give it another go. Because I knew once it clicks, you're gonna love it.
Well, once I start reading the whole background on what the Stendhal syndrome is, it changed the film completely.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I need to do because I've never been a fan of the Stendhal syndrome. Like that's one that it's one of my least favorite Argento films. But I've only seen it like twice, I think.
Okay.
I saw it years ago. I didn't like it, and then I watched it again here recently, maybe about a year ago, and I was still just kind of like, I want to like it more than I do.
It's like has that got anything to do with the subject matter? Because there's a lot of really bad violence towards women and all that.
No, that stuff never bothers me or anything. It's just I feel like there's a pacing issue to it. There's just something about it that just doesn't click
I think that
with
twist
me.
with half an hour to go. There's a twist, obviously, in there with involving Asia Argento.
Yeah.
Was you okay with that? So I know Dirk was a bit iffy on that as well.
Yeah, like I said, the whole thing just doesn't. I don't know. Just doesn't flow for me. Like there's just like too many moments of just like again, like maybe I just need to watch it a couple more times to try to figure it out.
I think we covered it though, right?
Yeah.
Darren, we covered it.
Yeah.
And that's when I had to dig into it and get all the background on it and everything, and then that's when I was like, okay,
I
Now
would
I'm starting
suggest
to see it.
watching it like when you've got like a good 2 hours because it's a fairly long film, and you're in the mood for like a slow burn. Put it on when you've got no distractions around you, because I know you're a father and all that.
Yeah.
Try it then and give the same because the soundtrack is amazing as
And
well.
the whole backstory with Argento, why he made the film, is really and it's an actual thing in real life,
which Argento actually suffered from when he went to Athens in Greece.
Kind of
when he was
crazy.
a young boy. So yeah, it's got a lot of that as well.
Yep.
Okay. See, guys, that's why they're the Eurocrypt guys. They they're on top of this shit. Let's see. Question 8: most underrated Argento film.
That's a good one.
I think it's probably. I'm gonna say Trauma, man.
Right. Okay.
Because
I was gonna say Trauma, but I'll go differently. Then I'll say Sleepless.
Okay, because I was gonna say Sleepless.
Yeah,
But,
Sleepless is a good one.
Two of them are close.
Yeah. Those two are definitely never really mentioned too much.
Would you guys consider? Because I know the Dead Pit guys were talking about this the other night when they were talking about the Arrow Year 2, and I kind of agree with them. Cat o' Nine Tails, I feel like, is kind of underrated for Argento's.
I need to revisit Cat o' Nine, and we are going to be covering the Animal Trilogy.
Okay. Cool.
For me, it's never done. Like I like it. If it wasn't Argento and it was just a normal Giallo director, I think I'd warm to it a bit more. But in that Animal Trilogy, obviously you've got Four Flies. The Bird with Crystal Plumage is by far the greatest film out of those three. And it's kind of like, it doesn't.
I'm opposite though. Like I prefer Four Flies out of the.
Me
three.
too, Dirk. I like Four Flies better than Bird. Like, to me, the trilogy's kind of in reverse. Like, I like Four Flies, then Cat o' Nine Tails, and then Bird Crystal Plumage is probably my number 3 out of that for me.
It's funny you say that because Bird with Crystal Plumage, when I first saw it, the first 2 or 3 times, I didn't really warm to it that much. And then I went back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or whatever, put it on again. It's like what Dirk said with the stand, or it just clicked with me. And now, if you actually look at Bird with the Crystal Plumage, it's a complete masterpiece, in my opinion. Everything about that film works. The score, you've got the early Ennio Morricone. Yeah. Maybe it might do that for you, in the future, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like in terms of those 3, like to me, like Four Flies on Grey Velvet, there's something about that just to me that just hits right. Like just.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
I love that. And then Cat o' Nine Tails. I don't know. Bird with Crystal Plumage is a little more subdued, I guess. But I mean, it was like 1970, so Argento wasn't going over the top as he would later on in terms of the violence and the gore and stuff like that.
Yeah, I always thought that title was interesting, and then when I looked up to see what deeper into why he named it that, it's the 9 tails are the 9 different leads to the case.
Okay.
So it's kind of pretty interesting because a lot of people say these titles don't make sense. A lot of times they do. You
just got to think about it a little bit. Yeah.
The one thing about Cat o' Nine Tails for me is the lead. James Franciscus plays the lead, and he's not that appealing to me as a lead guy, leading man.
Yeah, I never really had an issue with him. I really like Carl Malden in that. Like he's great in that.
I think him and the little girl, and she turns up in Cannibal Apocalypse a few years after this.
That elevator scene is awesome.
Yeah, the ending of Cat o' Nine Tails is the fucking hands going down the wire, and then the smoke coming off of the hands.
You're like, oh shit!
You can feel that shit. Right. All right, let's question 9. Okay, what is Argento's best film?
Okay.
Objectively best film.
I mean, I gotta say,
but not necessarily your favorite. Right?
Not necessarily your favorite, but objectively, like, okay, that's probably his best work.
It's Suspiria.
Suspiria.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't even argue that.
That's why. I mean, I don't know. I just can't see anything topping that.
There's nothing else like Suspiria, so there's nothing to.
A lot of people would say Deep Red, too.
Yeah.
But
I've never been a big Deep Red guy, and Argento was my favorite director, and
Yeah.
It's like it's what you're doing with your channel. Like I find kind of interesting because if it was for me, I'd be watching Argento all day long. I'd have Dirk doing an Argento stream every other week, like But no,
But-
it's never really. I don't know.
But not
Deep
a big
Red.
Deep Red fan. What is it about Deep Red that?
I find it overlong. I'm not a big fan of David Hemmings in that lead role either. I love Darren Nickelodeon. I think she's superb in it.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of comedy in the longer version, which doesn't really hit for me.
Well, there is
But
a short
again, I
cut.
could do with like a better lead guy. Sorry, Dick, go on.
I was just saying there is that other cut where there's not as much comedy.
Yeah, and it still doesn't work. I know there's parts about that film that are superb.
And it got some supernatural elements, and that's what trips me out when people say, "Well, a true giallo can't have supernatural stuff in it."
There's
But
three or four like
Deep
stand
Red
rates as well.
definitely is considered the ultimate giallo, and it definitely has supernatural shit going on with a psychic woman and shit with the kid and the shit in the wall and all that.
The mad puppet
Yeah.
death. But you've got some of the greatest scenes he's ever done. When that guy's getting pulled by the rubbish cart along the floor.
Yeah.
The actual demise of the killer is superb at the end.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't hate it or anything. I actually, I would say it would probably come in my top 10 jest of Argento films, but it's just never. I don't know why it's just never really hit big.
The thing that really stands out for me, like the last time, because I just watched it not too long ago. Hey, I mean, the score is one of the most influential scores ever in horror.
It's my favorite Goblin score. Period.
Okay, I mean it's classic. But the thing that stood out for me that I never really noticed, I always heard Argento is inspired by paintings from a lot. But if you watch Deep Red, if you watch Profano Rosso, a lot of the scenes, a lot of the shots, the background, the people in the background are just standing still, just like in a pose, like the characters are moving from scene to scene. It's like they're going from one painting to another, to where everybody in the background is just kind of standing there, and you're just like, what are these people doing? But it's literally Argento saying, okay, this is a painting, and all the background characters are just part of the painting, but the characters you're focusing on, the main characters. That's what you're looking at, not everything else around you. I always thought I thought that blew me away. I was just like, because I noticed that I kept looking at these background like extras that are just like standing there, just holding a cigarette, or it looks like they're talking to each other, but they're not saying anything, and it's just like, well, that's really interesting. But I don't know. I love it.
That's funny because like Blood and Black Lace does that kind of stuff at the very beginning.
Yeah, the opening credits.
Yeah,
the credit sequence is like, yeah.
But that opening to Deep Red might be his best opening.
The side, but he always opens with a bang.
Go ahead there. Sorry.
I was going to say, I was going to say that Argento always opens his films with a bang. You got Suspiria with the whole woman falling down, getting hung. But go on, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
You're good. He's using the camera though. He's using a certain kind of camera that he used to shoot commercials, and it's like. It's an odd lens when you see all that stuff that the killer's got on the, the little doll on the table and all that shit. I just love the opening in the Deep Red.
Yeah.
So it could be the best opening, but anyway.
Argento knows how to. Argento, whether the movie you like the movie as a whole or not, Argento knows how to open a movie and knows how to end a movie. Typically, like usually the beginning and the end are pretty badass and pretty satisfying.
I was going to say the opening is Sleepless as well on the train.
Oh yeah,
that's got to be one of his best he's ever done too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so we're both saying Suspiria for best, and then 10th and final question, and I ask this of everybody: are you Team Ben or are you Team Harry? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Harry.
Team Harry.
Yep.
Going down in the cellar and saying "fuck it."
Yep. He was right, man. He's fucking right. Even though he's the asshole. And that's the thing I love about Night is the asshole is the one that's right. And the good the hero of the film, I guess you'd say, Ben, he's wrong as shit, So
I'd have to agree as well. Definitely.
But then there's always, I always say, there's the wild card of Karen Cooper, the daughter down there, bitten she's going to turn at some point. If they all just go down in that cellar, as soon as she turns, she's going to go and attack somebody, and then that's going to start a whole cavalcade of chaos. I like that word, cavalcade of chaos.
Right. If you're Ben, though, you're killing that little girl.
If you can, yeah. I mean, if you can, I mean, if Harry doesn't, you know, I mean, then you got a whole other issue going on down there. So, So, all right. So there you had it. 10 questions with Dirk and Darren from the Eurocrypt podcast. We'll just toss that on over there. Hit these comments real quick, and then we'll get into the main meat of the matter tonight. So I think Robert said, I'm wanting to start watching Dario Argento movies. I've seen like none of them. What would you recommend as a first? What would you guys recommend as the first for a newbie? What would be the first Argento film to check out?
I would say Suspiria. If you can't get through, if you don't like Suspiria, I don't think you'll like any of his other films. I truly believe that.
The only reason I wouldn't say Suspiria is because there's only downward really from there. I would say Opera. I would say Opera again.
Opera's a good one.
Okay.
I would say Tenebrae.
Yeah.
In terms of just kind of like an intro to not just Argento, but just kind of an introduction to just Italian giallo films in general. Like it's got, you know, the gore, it's got the story, it's got the mystery, it's got the, you know, the
shocking twist.
The twist there at the end. Yeah. I mean,
it's probably his meanest film as well.
Yeah. So
I mean, Tenebrae is just faultless. You can't even with all the, because you got spoiler, but you got 2 killers at one point. But even all the backstory and everything is done meticulously with Argento in that film. There's no like weak links at all.
There's no holes really in that one.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's like there's no holes. It's like by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh, okay, I see what happened there. It all ties in at the end. So there you go. Yeah. What's up, Mayor? Mayor's in the house. Damn it, I thought this was on tomorrow. No, sir, it's on tonight.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, Mayor? Since I've been to an abandoned building near Salt Lake City where they shot part of Carnival of Souls. Okay, very cool. So Stephen reacting to your Dawn of the Dead response there.
No,
talk about here in a second.
I was waiting for when it was going to come up.
Yeah, and by the way, I did go back and listen to the verses that we did. I just went to when you came on, and I had to re-listen to that show before we came on.
That's a very successful show. That was.
Yeah, man, and
that was fun.
I enjoyed it. I do.
I did too. I did too. And Lauren,
everybody's got to agree all the time.
Yeah, man. Like people are like, oh, how could you even go and talk to Lauren? Like he hates that movie. Why would you even? I'm like, Dad, I don't care if you like or hate anything. Like I love a good debate, you know, but it was two passionate people, two knowledgeable people. And like Lauren's obviously a dude that like knows his shit and like it would be an opinion to respect. So I'm like, hell yeah, man. Like that. I'm not asking everybody to love everything I fucking love. That'd be ridiculous. Cause I hate a whole lot of shit people love. So
yeah, man.
I think I've even seen you in Lauren's chats. I mean, have you popped in one or two of Lauren's chats?
Yeah, I've been in a couple. I've checked it out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got an issue with the dude. Like, I just thought it was funny because I was watching the stream and I'm just like, oh, these guys are tearing the fucking movie apart. I gotta get on here and defend my love.
Yeah, that's a good stream. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Marissa, I just saw the box set of Beyond 4K getting shrink wrapped on Grindhouse's Instagram. Okay, so they are made. They're out there.
Hell yeah.
E.G. Marshall's hilarious. Yeah, gotta love E.G. Marshall and Creepshow. Mayor doesn't like the Jordy Verrill story from Creepshow. Stephen King.
Yeah,
Jordy Verrill.
That's my least favorite. I won't say I just downright hate it, but it is my least favorite of all of them.
It's a little too over the top.
Yeah, out of both films too. So
it's probably my least favorite, but the last one really, and then all the others are bangers.
I'd say that one. And then probably Chief Woodenhead are probably my least favorite of the two.
That's over-long, I find, in Creepshow 2, the first segment with the Indian guy.
Which, speaking of Jordy Verrill, this is still up for...
Nice.
I was just confused as a kid. I was like, what is this
the King... The King of the Zombies, the King of the Romero Zombies tournament is currently going on as we speak. If you guys have been voting in the daily head-to-heads, brackets are in. So it's still up for sale right now. I think Brian Stahl is still at the top of the bracket contest. So right now he's in line to win this bad boy, this brand new thing. So I don't know. You just brought up Jordy Verrill, so I had to do a quick plug on that real quick.
That's cool. Yeah. I know a lot of people love that story.
I get a kick out of it. I don't have I know Stephen King hates it because he felt like George had him overact too much to where he was just kind of cartoonish. But I think it works for the comic book.
I have a love-hate relationship with King, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if The Shining is your favorite fucking movie, yeah, I could see that. Aro, what's up, man? Aro Padri's in the house. Reminds me of the pharmacy scene in The Mist. A million spiders bursting out of the guy hanging on the wall. Yeah. You guys a fan of The Mist at all? Speaking of Stephen King?
It's okay. Yeah, I like it better in black and white. Have you seen that cut of the film?
I've watched it in black and white.
If you watch it in black and white, the CG's not so over the top.
That's the big thing that like took me out of the movie the first time I saw it. Some of the CGI was a little too hokey.
I know a lot of people hated the ending, but I don't mind the ending. I know it's bleak and it's not, you know, what you expect, but
I have no issue with the ending. I like that ending a lot.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's sad, but you know, oh well, what are you gonna do? You can't be fucking rainbows and hop, skip, and jump down the fucking street all the time either. You know?
There's nothing wrong with a sad ending every now and then.
Right.
It's like Night of the Living Dead. I mean, what a bleak ending that is. I mean, everybody.
Oh yeah.
Everybody does. Since I used to have the pet Madagascar hissing cockroaches and a terrarium at home, we had extras at the zoo where I worked. Well, that's a hell of a pet to have, son.
Yeah, my son Christian, which he don't live with me, but he recently got a blood python. So.
I don't don't do snakes, spiders. I don't do any of that shit. Bugs. I don't do it. I grew up out in a holler in the hood. I grew up in the country around a bunch of woods and stuff. We were born and bred to be fearful and terrified of snakes because we go out and play in the woods and stuff. It's like you see a snake, get the fuck away. Like just go. So
yeah, don't play with them.
No,
I'll let the king snake make it though. You know, he can make it. Moccasins, not so much.
Well, we had a lot of what were the copperheads. I think we had a lot of those growing up. It's saying me and my dad used to joke with each other when he dropped me off for school. Thanks for the ride. So part 2 is the nostalgia edge for me. Over part 1. That's a good segment too.
Yeah,
fucking hitchhiker.
Great.
Bonnie saying I first knew Leslie Nielsen from Tammy. I don't think I've seen Tammy.
Okay.
This is it, Mayor. Forbidden Planet. That's the one Leslie Nielsen was in originally back in the day. Airplane, played the Doctor on the Flight.
That's where I know him from.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't get enough Airplane. I don't think.
Made the line and quit calling me Shirley. World famous.
Yep.
Yeah. Since Leslie Nielsen was a cut up in real life, he carried around a fart box to do pranks. Yeah, always had that fucking fart box with him. Yeah. Burial Ground is fun. Got a lot of love for Burial Ground. Dirk's Pillow smells of death. Let's see. Lander saying fantastic. Opera is up there for me too. Love the peephole kill. One of my favorite. That is one of the best kill scenes in any movie. Just
I think it is the best. Yeah.
That's so fucking good.
Knowing the whole backstory behind that as well, where he was he split up with Darren Niccolodi at the time. His new girlfriend was actually a member of the cast of Opera, so it was really difficult. And then she claimed that he was trying to kill her as well because where they set up the shot and they had to use pretty much gunpowder and
you see it in her hair. It blows up, right?
Yeah.
So she was convinced he was trying to kill her at one point. So yeah, it's a great scene.
And with Dario, you never know. He may have been. I don't know.
Right.
especially with Daria, they're rough ending to that relationship. Since then, Wendy Carlos is a legend. The Shining, Clockwork Orange, all the ambient releases and Synthie JS box stuff. Yeah, Clockwork Orange is another one of my all-time favorite scores too for Wendy Carlos.
Yeah, it's got a vibe that's just this eerie, weird vibe, man. Like you're stepping into something. You're like when you
Yeah. Darren, are you from somewhere in the West Country? Says Aro.
Right, so I'm from Wales, but the West Country is literally 40 minutes away. So even though the West Country is in England, so I'm not far from the border, if I'm honest. Like I'm from a small place called Newport Gwent. But yeah, about 40 minutes away. But I'm Welsh through and through. Like I don't like to be called English.
That's my ancestry, the Welsh. So
oh, okay.
I'm redneck Welsh from down in Kentucky. So.
I got a lot of Irish in me as well.
I got Irish and yeah.
See, since I saw Stendhal Syndrome in the theater, the only time he's seen it.
Oh man,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I first seen it, I was like, "What the hell is this shit?" You know. Darren's like, "No, man." He's like,
"Oh man, I do anything
check it out
to
again,
go back
man.
and watch that in the theater." I'm not even sure if it played in the UK. I don't think it played in the theaters in the UK, but man, so jealous.
I'm glad I did though. I'm glad I gave it another go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a few more tries. I'm gonna have to give it a few more tries.
It took 2 more for me, but
Kirk saying Deep Red and Tenebrae, his favorites. Argento.
Not bad.
Can't argue with that.
Stugas, what's going on, Stugas? Haven't seen any of those movies, I guess, from Argento. Check them out, man. Check them out. They're, I will say, man, like, a lot of Argento, just European horror, Italian horror, it is somewhat of an acquired taste for some people. Like, if you're not used to it, it can throw you off a little bit at times, I think. But there's
a lot of visual storytelling.
It's a completely different style of storytelling than like stuff from the U.S. So you kind of gotta. It's like what I tell people. It's like when you're watching Argento, you just gotta suspend your disbelief and suspend your expectations of of reality, and just kind of you're going into Argento's nightmare. Like just give up and just say, okay, take me where you're taking me, Dario. Like, where are we going?
Yeah. That's a good explanation, actually.
It's all about visuals and music. It is.
Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't make any logical sense, but at the same time, it's like,
who cares?
It's a fucking. You're going on a roller coaster ride through Dario Argento's brain for 2 hours. Like, if you're going into it with that mindset, like, you're gonna have a blast. So, Uncle Bill's in the house. What's going on, Uncle Bill? UB says, I would say Deep Red if you're inclined to Giallos, Suspiria for everything else.
Yep.
And then also says, in terms of, I guess, a starter Argento film, and then says Argento had 2 different phases of his career and then kind of went back and forth with Supernatural and Giallos in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, a lot of Supernatural stuff, especially after Suspiria, with Inferno and even Phenomena. Yeah, Phenomena
that's another
very
big film
supernatural.
For me.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of underrated, if I'm honest. Phenomena.
Yeah.
I know Inferno gets, like, a lot of people don't like the ending of Inferno, but I don't know. I think it works for me, but
yeah, we covered that, didn't we? Not long
especially
ago.
knowing Mario Bava was on that, like making a lot of that shit, for that film. And Lamberto shot it, right?
Yeah,
in that underwater scene.
Yeah.
That underwater scene is one of the best things Dario did, I think, because it's just like that first part of Inferno is just beautiful to fucking look at. Nothing
I
else.
heard Uncle Bill talking about it. I think it was last night.
Yeah,
and, Disney got the rights, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Holy shit. Yeah.
We're gonna see.
I don't know why that works, but yeah.
Well, I mean, Disney's bought up everything. So, like, I guess Inferno in the U.S., I guess the rights were owned by Fox back in the day. Was it Fox that distributed Inferno? Because Inferno was kind of the first Argento film that got kind of a semi-wide release in the U.S., I believe. And I think it was Fox that put it out. So, I don't know how the hell that works. Everything's owned by, like, 2 or 3 companies now, so who knows?
I know Arrow had the UK rights because I got an old Blu-ray window box of the Arrow release. But I'm talking, that must be like 15 years ago. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
I have a Blue Underground release of it on Blu-ray. So I mean, the rights are. Somebody's got the damn rights to do it. I mean, Blue
That
Underground
film is
did it.
perfect, man, for 4K as well, with the blues, all the blues, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
the vivid colors. Yeah.
Kirk saying Messiah of Evil is another great film, and lots of shots look like an Edward Hopper painting. Okay.
Very
Haven't seen
underrated
that
film.
one. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Uncle Bill says, I think everyone is entitled to their opinion, and that opinion is wrong if you don't like Dawn.
I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for that.
Well, I love Dawn dishwashing liquid, so you know, I use it every day.
J Reel's Dawn is pretty good, actually. That's available on YouTube now, so you can check it out.
Right.
Quick plug. Zombie Historian, what's going on, Zombie Historian? It says finally saw opera on the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs and some friends about a week ago. Very, very cool.
Nice.
Okay, damn. Okay, Joe Bob's doing that.
Yeah, I forgot Joe Bob was already back on. New season of Joe Bob. Matt saying coked out Stephen King is the best Stephen King. Some love for The Mist. Stukas loves The Mist. Mayor loves the ending of The Mist. Yeah, I don't mind the bleak endings.
Yeah, man.
Kirk says I would have liked to have seen Romero's vision for The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Good book. Yeah, that was one George was attached to in the early 2000s. Never surfaced. Nothing ever came of it. But yeah, George was attached to a lot of Stephen King stuff. Never happened. Arl says, bloody hell, I'm from Bristol, very close to Newport. God bless Gareth Bell. Big Spurs fan here. There you go.
Man, I'm a Tottenham fan as well. I'm a Spurs fan as well. That's crazy.
Yeah. Aro always comments on shit, and he always brings it back to fucking.
I was gonna wear my
Hotspur.
Spurs top tonight, actually, but yeah, crazy.
Robert loves Land of the Dead, so Robert's with you. Darren. Actually, I have quite a bit of Land of the Dead shit. Actually, I got old Big Daddy here hanging out next to me, and no, I have a special because that was the first Romero film I saw in a theater, and it was one of those movies that I'd been waiting for however long. From the first time I discovered Romero, I was just like, holy shit, there needs to be another one of these, and so I always have a soft spot.
H.R. Argento's character in that I like a lot.
Yeah. I love Ozzy Argento in anything.
I'm biased. Yeah, exactly.
Another one would be the Dark Half. I like that.
I like the Dark Half as well.
That high tone son of a bitch shit.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I've the Dark Half's growing on me more and more here recently. I'll say that. I'll
like
say
that character a lot. Yeah.
George Stark. Yeah, I mean Timothy Hutton's George Stark is pretty damn cool.
I think I better punt. Yeah.
When you're fucking with me, you're fucking with the best. Coincidence Control. What's going on, man? Phenomena is my favorite. Argento. There you go.
Good choice. Yeah.
You got a little bit of everything in that one. You got some Friday the 13th shit going on.
You got some killer monkeys. You got it all.
Yeah.
It says doesn't like Dawn of the Dead, but does he like From Dusk Till Dawn? What are you guys' thoughts on From Dusk Till Dawn? You guys fans of From Dusk Till Dawn?
Go on to it.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a huge.
I mean,
fan
I loved it when it first came out. It was, but then it kind of just faded off a little bit.
It's one of those movies that it's one of my favorite movies to show somebody if they've never seen it and know nothing about it. Because it takes such a left turn halfway through. It's because at first it's like your usual you're following the two criminals on the run from the police, and it just feels like your normal type of movie. And then all of a sudden it's like vampires and just crazy fucking shit. Yeah, and you're just like, where the fuck did this come from?
Cocktail's actually pretty good in that one. Clooney, of course. I think that's when he first got really recognized.
Mm-hmm. And he got that role over. He was originally supposed to play. What am I trying to say? Yeah, it was Clooney's role. Joe Pilato was originally supposed to be Seth Gecko, I think is his name in that.
Oh, okay.
And Tarantino is such a creepy bastard in that one.
The thing with that one I always like is Tom Savini, who plays
Oh,
Sex
yeah.
Machine.
Yeah, Sex
And
Machine. Yeah.
What's
Sex
so
Machine.
weird about that is I've known people gone up to him in conventions, and they're all talking about his like work on The Burning, Maniac. Yeah, he
Mhm.
wants to be known for that film, like, and his acting ability, which I find
Yeah.
fucking astounding. Pardon my language, but yeah, it's astounding, man.
Since the dead can dance, track at the end of the mist makes the bleak ending so much better. And then Coincidence Control says From Dusk Till Dawn had some fantastic practical effects. Love that flick. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a K and B. It's a K and B movie. Of course,
And then Salma Hayek. I mean, gosh damn. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, come on.
Oh, right, the KMP guys are actually
Great scene.
starring that as vampires, didn't they, as well? It's Greg Nicotero in that one?
Yeah.
I
Nicotero's
thought
in
so.
it. Yeah.
Coming back to me now.
It might be Rodriguez's best film, right? I mean, I don't know.
For my money, probably.
Yeah.
And just in terms of my tastes, it's probably the one I like the most. I'd have to think on that.
Did he do? That's the guy who done Planet Terror, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say I like that one as well.
Yeah, Planet Terror is definitely kind of a homage to like Nightmare City and some of
Oh,
those.
yeah.
I mean, I think he's talked about that before.
I think most probably would say Desperado, though. You know, right?
Yeah, because that was kind of like his first big one. Or no, El Mariachi was his first breakout movie. Because he made that for like 10 cents and it became a huge hit. And that's how he kind of got his name out there. And then Desperado, I think, was the one he did after that. All right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Romero, Argento, some Spasmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a odd film. You've seen that one, right? Spasmo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually just watched it not too long ago for the first time, and I watched it again here recently because I've just been trying to find, well, you know, if there are any shots or anything that you can kind of point at and try to figure out. Yeah, there you go. If you can kind of see like, oh, this is obviously something Romero shot, but I still have no recollection of this. We were talking about this before we came online.
This is a pretty underrated Lindsay Giallo, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely... it doesn't play quite like your normal Giallo. I don't think. Like, there's not... Which kind of goes to what, you know, what Romero was hired to do. But there's not really a guy in black gloves, and there's not the mystery to it, really. It's more of like a what the fuck is going on type of thing until you get to the end, and you're like, oh... It's more of a trippy kind of thing.
It is psychedelic, trippy.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like, I could say it'd be a good double bill with Hatchet for the Honeymoon.
Yeah, that would
Mario
work.
Bava film. But
so 1974 is when that came out, I believe. I'm trying to find. So as you guys know, I'm currently reading George A. Romero's Independent Cinema. By Tom Fallows, and he writes a little bit in it, and this has got the quote in it. I'm gonna read out of the book, kind of explain. So the big question has always been like, so Romero was hired to do some insert shots for the U.S. release of Spasmo.
Mm-hmm.
Do those shots exist? Does that version still exist out there? I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't know what it is to really critique, but so in the book here reads Laurel, who was the company Romero and Rubenstein were part of at the time. Laurel consequently, I can't say that. Consequently purchased the U.S. rights to several European co-productions, including 10 Little Indians, Le Secret, and Where's the Smoke. As with the television product, films were sold to limited partnerships established and overseen as tax shelters by Laurel itself, and then sold again to more experienced distributors. On the sale of the Italian giallo film Spasmo, Umberto Lenzi, 1974, distributor buyer Libra Films rehired Laurel to shoot graphic inserts for the U.S. release. The giallo subgenre was made famous by Mario Bava in such films as Blood and Black Lace and Dario Argento with the Bird with Crystal Plumage. Can't read. It's kind of dark. Let me turn on the light. That'll help. And the violence in these films was often explicit, sexualized, and operatic. Lindsay, however, designed his film as a conscious break from such paradigms. Under Romero's direction, additional footage was shot in Laurel's first-floor studio space, these new scenes depicting a killer in a leather fetish mask committing brutal acts of murder. This masked killer, admittedly part of the giallo iconography, served to disguise the fact that here he was played by a Laurel crew member and not one of the original Italian cast. Such altercations, though common in foreign film acquisitions, rest uneasily along Romero's auteurist proclamations. His initial incentive behind Laurel was to obtain control of material and to safeguard productions against interference. To sustain this space, Romero appeared willing to sacrifice the authorial voice of other filmmakers. Lindsay was incensed when he heard about these changes, disdainful of this process and recutting international releases without directorial approval. He regarded Romero's actions as reprehensible. He should have refused, or at least he should have notified me. I would never do such a thing. I have my ethical code as a director. Apparently George does not. That is a quote from Umberto Lindsay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Romero later conceded that working on Spasmo was his most embarrassing moment, yet could at least console himself that these schemes kept him working as a media producer. This said, Rubenstein's business expertise continued to dictate corporate movements, and in 1976, blah, blah, blah. So that's basically the whole write-up there on that. So, basically, Romero was hired to add some insert shots to this to the U.S. release of this version
for more gore.
Yeah, to make it more palatable to a U.S. audience.
Mm-hmm.
But this version, I've never gotten a straight answer on what was shot. I mean, in that book, he says, there's a guy in a leather mask and the leather gloves, and he's going around killing and all that, just to add some more of that the typical giallo flavor to the movie. I
have something like Troy Howarth wrote on this a little bit. About Romero. He said, if you want me to read it,
sure.
It's not too long. As a bizarre footnote to an already bizarre film, it's worth noting that when Spasmo eventually made its way to the U.S. in the summer of '76, another major filmmaker was drafted to add some new sequences. George A. Romero, then in the midst of filming Martin, shot in '76, but unreleased in America until '78, and his associate, Tony Bubba, were tasked with shooting some sequences involving mannequins. Yes, even more mannequins, which were apparently intended to add some extra zest to the murder sequences. It's difficult to ascertain what this added footage was definitely comprised of, as the present author has had no luck finding anybody who can remember seeing the U.S. theatrical version. The edition available on Blu-ray and DVD is the original Italian edit, dubbed into English. It's unclear whether the material was shot and then discarded by the distributor, Libra Films International, or whether the material has simply disappeared over time due to the reemergence of the original Italian edit. Regardless, if the version with Romero's footage ever did play in theaters, it has since receded completely from view.
Right. I think he did do the full 10 minutes, I think it was.
About 10 minutes.
From what I can gather, it did play in the US in theaters, but obviously I don't know what went on with the footage after that. It's just been a complete mystery. I'd love to see that, actually, because if it makes it more of like a Black Glove Killer type thing.
But you got two film buffs right there that haven't seen it.
Yeah,
And,
I think
it probably doesn't exist, I would imagine, unless somebody just got it stashed away somewhere and it's fucking rotting.
I mean, that's happened in the past. Yeah.
There's a chance it could turn up somewhere, but
right.
You would think that it's got to exist somewhere. It's like, I don't know. Like I said, I've just from that account,
for sure.
Just from that account, and then I actually talked to Tony Booba about it at Living Dead Week, and I asked him about it. I was like, "So do you remember anything about what you guys shot for Spasmo or anything?" And he was just kind of like, "No, not really. I just remember we had a bunch of mannequins, and we were just kind of doing this." And it didn't sound like he made it sound like they didn't do much of anything. And he actually kind of said, like, I think it was for the trailer or something, the U.S. trailer, like it was just some stuff for the trailer, but I've gone and looked at the trailer, the U.S. trailer for Spasmo, and I don't see anything that's not in the film itself, so I don't know. It's kind of one of those great mysteries. It's like, what was shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, where is it? Like, is there a version out there with it? I've never seen a version with it. I've only seen the Italian version with the English dub.
Right.
So
there is footage in the film though of a mannequin in there. I think isn't it hanging in a forest or something? I'm sure I've seen that in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. Like maybe.
So whether that was Romero's, I don't know, and just a little bit made it through.
Well, my thought, like when I first saw the movie, was at the very end scene with him when he goes into the room and he's got all the mannequins set up and stuff. And there's a lot of close-up shots of mannequins. I was like, well, maybe that was added for some whatever reason, you know, maybe that was added, maybe some of those shots. But then you look and you can kind of match up all the mannequins in the wider shots with the actual actor, and that wasn't the case. So it's like, okay, I guess that's not it. So
that scene gives me like tourist trap vibes, you know? In a way.
Yeah.
It's a very weird way to end that movie with him just stabbing that mannequin, and then you're just like, okay, this is kind of uncomfortable, but it's kind of cool.
And an odd role for Ivan Razumov. He's usually the crazy one, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of Romero's first interaction with European cinema, if you want to call it that. And of course, Umberto Lenzi, his quote about, you know, Romero's actions reprehensible. And of course, Lenzi would go on and do Nightmare City a few years after that. And it was in his, the way he kind of puts it, it's his response to Romero's version of the films, where he wanted to make a more realistic version of what Romero was doing, which, you know, it's debatable, but I love
it's funny though.
I love Nightmare City.
Oh yeah.
You gotta love Nightmare City.
That's one of my all-time favorites. But I've always heard, like, there's always been like a tinge of, I feel like maybe Lenzi kind of held that against Romero, but at the same time, it's like that version doesn't even exist really anymore. So it's like, yeah, who gives a shit? Like,
and then Lenzi's like, it's not a zombie film. You know?
From what I was reading up on it, and it was more, Lenzi was more pissed off with the actual production company or the studio rather than Romero himself.
Okay.
Because none of them ever crossed paths. I don't think they ever met in real life.
I don't think they've ever met.
Put Romero over though, in some interviews. Like I've never really heard him outright say anything negative about Romero.
No, he blamed the studio. I'm pretty sure. I don't.
Now, he shit on plenty of other people.
Yeah,
actors, and Argento was his pupil and all this shit, you know. And
yeah, I've heard that too. Like Argento was his underling or whatnot. But
he owes me everything, kind of shit, you know.
Yeah. But I always thought that was kind of an interesting little mystery story there to the movie and I always wondered, because I think, if I remember correctly, the trailer for Spasmo is like a hidden Easter egg on the Blue Underground release of The Crazies. And I remember seeing that years and years and years ago before I even knew what that movie was. But I was so intrigued by that trailer just because of the constant Spasmo.
Yeah.
Spasmo. And I was just like, what is this fucking weird ass movie? And I never understood what the connection was, like why that was an Easter egg. But then years later, I find out like, oh, George shot stuff with it, but nobody ever really knew what the hell he shot for it. So maybe someday we'll figure it out and we'll see it. But of course, after that, so around the mid 70s, Italian cinema was kind of on a downturn. Because of the advent of television. Television was huge, getting big at that time. So less people were going to the theater. A lot of people were just staying home watching TV. So at this time, Dario was kind of looking to bring in properties from the U.S., kind of, you know, bigger budget, the action stuff, you know, to kind of attract more people back to the theater. And he reached out to Romero, or actually, I can't remember. I think it was Richard Rubinstein actually reached out to Claudio, or no, Alfredo Cuomo.
Yeah, Cuomo.
Yeah.
So they reached out, and Argento's interested in doing another zombie film and financing another zombie film because he was a huge fan of Night of the Living Dead, and of course Romero had this idea for Dawn of the Dead. The Italians financed half of it, and
something I wanted to ask you. So Romero kept putting off the sequel, right? He didn't really want at like for a while. I don't know this. That's why I'm asking. So
Well, at first he didn't want to do a sequel right away. He wanted to kind of
Yeah.
do other things, which is why he tried, There's Always Vanilla, and he
Yeah.
tried Jack's Wife and The Crazies.
he
and
didn't want to
those,
be known as the
yeah,
horror guy, right?
yeah, because I think he had offers from Hollywood to come out and do another Night of the Living Dead movie,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want to get pigeonholed as just the zombie guy, which he eventually did.
Right.
But he did have this idea for Dawn of the Dead, a zombie film that takes place in a mall, because Monroeville Mall had just opened in the late 60s, and he was friendly with the people that owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gave him that idea, is like, oh, this is the perfect place for, to set a zombie film. So he had this idea in the early 70s. He had been working on treatments and stuff like that. So it was always kind of in the back of his mind. But then when Argento and Alfredo Cuomo reached out and said, hey, would you be interested in doing another one? George was like, actually, I have an idea for one.
And then he went to Rome, right, to write the script.
Yeah. So Argento flew Romero to Rome to stay in an apartment in Rome for a couple of weeks, whatever it was, to write the screenplay. And then George would write all day. He would have dinner with Dario at night, and Dario would sign off on the screenplay and say, okay, this is good. And pretty much to George's, his recollection of it was Argento was just kind of like, George, do what you want to do. Like, this is your film.
That makes
like,
sense, though, with Argento, the way he is.
Yeah. And Argento really respected George as an artist. So Argento was like, it's all you. Like, all Argento asked in return was the rights, the non-English rights. He wanted to do his own cut and distribute the film in non-English speaking countries, and that's how the deal came to be. But so in the U.S., Dawn of the Dead, it took a while. It's a long story, but Dawn of the Dead took a while to find distribution in the U.S. for a number of reasons, and but it came out about a year before it came out in the U.S. It came out over in Europe, a lot of the non-English speaking countries, and it was actually a really big hit. It was a big hit in Italy. It was a big hit in Japan, Germany. I mean, it was a big time success for Argento and Romero overseas. But
they put up half the budget too, right? I think.
Argento
they put up
and,
his brother Claudio,
yeah. They put up $250,000 at, I think, was the number. So I think the total budget on Dawn was like $625,000.
Okay.
So the rest was raised by Billy Baxter and Herbert Steinman, who was the father of Danny Steinman, who would go on to direct the best Friday the 13th movie, Part 5. So there's a nice little tie there, but so there are two versions of Dawn of the Dead out there. There's the the Argento cut, there's the U.S. cut, but there's also the Cannes cut and stuff. But there's two distinctly different versions. I know you guys are not fans of Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
Which ones do you prefer? If you had to watch one, would you watch?
It's gonna be the Argento cut.
The Argento.
It cuts out. It's like what, 8 minutes? There's like 8 minutes less of that one.
Yeah, it's funny because the Argento cut is it's only like 8 or 10 minutes less than the U.S. version, but it feels like they cut so much out, but they also added more stuff in. Because
he cut out a lot of the funny stuff, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, to make it more of a straight ahead action type of film.
Because that's the thing with me, I think, why it don't work, like with Dawn for me. I'm not gonna go too crazy or anything, but
let's get into it.
No, I'm just saying, like Night of Living Dead is such a stark, serious film, and then we go from that to Dawn. And it's like this action horror that has these lighthearted kind of thing. I don't know. It's just a different tone completely. And I've seen it for many years, even when I was a little kid. Just never, for whatever reason, never connected. But
well, do you feel like? I feel like Dawn, and I feel like that's why maybe the Argento cut, he tries to cut out a lot of the comedic relief or whatnot and try to make it more of a straight-ahead action, serious film.
Now, but the score is amazing.
Yeah, the Goblin score is fantastic. And there's a lot of... So in Argento's cut, there's a lot of Argento or Goblin score that I like the way that it's used. Like a lot of some of the scenes, I do prefer some of those. The way that Argento kind of laid those in there.
Right.
George put a lot of library music, didn't he?
Yeah.
On there.
Yeah.
A lot of
Which,
classical, some flutes and piano and stuff, right?
yeah, just a lot of needle drop, a lot of stuff from like DeWolf, and just a lot of library tracks. And Romero always liked to use library music because
Right.
it was easier for him to. That was one thing about Romero as an editor. I mean, he was a great visual editor, but also sound editor as well. Like he could blend all kind like different sounds and music and stuff.
It's kind of interesting how Dario got involved with Dawn of the Dead, because he was coming off Suspiria, and he had a couple of projects that he had in mind, and one was the Ghanaian massacre, and it was all to do with the Jonestown and all that was going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Another one he wanted to do was he wanted to do his own version of Phantom of the Opera, but set it in Russia, the backdrop being Russia. And then that's like literally as he come into doing Dawn of the Dead, because none of them obviously happened. He went on to do Phantom, at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought that was kind of interesting. And their dynamics seemed to change as well. Obviously, they did Dawn of the Dead, Martin, which I had no idea that Argento was even linked to that until Dirk, and yourself.
Yeah.
About coming on here,
Romero
delved deep into it, but then it kind of reversed where Argento had all the power with Two Evil Eyes, which we're going to mention a bit later.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I heard as well, I don't want to go off on a jump the gun too far, but I heard Argento was kind of mad at George. Like he didn't feel George put all his passion into Two Evil Eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that yourself.
I agree with that. I don't think George was very.
He's more like a gun for hire.
Yeah. But
I don't think George. To be fair, that's not what George wanted to do. He'd already said that he wanted to. I mean, well, we'll get into the Two Evil Eyes.
I was going to say, because
George
didn't want to.
He wanted to do Master of the Red Death.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm not trying to jump the gun.
No, it's my bad. I don't want to jump. No.
Right.
Nah, you're good. But yeah, just going back to Zombie for a second. So, just as a movie, not in comparison to the U.S. version or anything like that, what are your guys' thoughts on the film itself? Like, I know you like it better than the U.S. version, but do you like the film itself at all? The Zombie European cut, I guess is what you'd call it.
I'll be completely honest, not really.
Okay.
I've gone back. Obviously, we did the versus stream, and I'd give both of them a fresh watch and all that. And my problem is it's kind of like its pacing issues. It's kind of boring to me. And again, I know I'm going to get shot down.
Yeah.
But I'm going to come on and speak what I think.
That's a big part for me is the pacing. It
just doesn't seem to get.
I've tried. Trust me, I've tried many times because I've always felt like this is so crazy. Like all these other people love, have so much love for this film, and it's just
right. Yeah, I thought it was something wrong with me, because everybody, you obviously got Grant.
There is.
Most people here is going to be like, yeah, you're fucked
Dead
up,
Pit
man.
everywhere. I know, and the only real people I know who don't like the film is literally Dirk and Lorne. I've not heard anyone else speak.
Well, I hear a lot more.
You're saying all you guys top 10s, and obviously for you probably number one.
Oh, to me, it's the best movie ever made. Like,
I want to like it. That's the thing. I do want to love this film,
but I do also feel like
where does Night sit for you then?
Night. I mean, I love Night almost as much as Dawn. I mean, it's right up there. Like, if I were to it's probably like my third favorite Romero film behind Dawn and Martin. And then probably Day is probably 4. Night Riders. It's hard for me to really, but I love them all. But like you said, Dirk, they're very. It's a completely different vibe Dawn of the Dead has, and
it's like they got different personalities. Like each one of the Romero Dead movies. You know?
Yeah, and Ed kind of brings it up here. 68 was Stark, serious time. 78 was the Bee Gees. That's why Dawn is lighter. And that's kind of what Romero was kind of going for. He wanted to reflect the time that the films were made. Like 68, I mean, you're in the middle. I mean, it was Vietnam and the civil rights movement and everything. It was a very dark time, you know.
Right.
Whereas 78, it was like the Bee Gees. And to me, in my opinion, Dawn of the Dead was really the beginning of the 80s, was horror in the 80s. Like you had, because you look at horror in the 80s, it's a lot of, it's rock and roll, you know, there's comedy elements to it, it's the gore, you know, and I feel like Friday the 13th spawned out of Dawn of the Dead, the success of Dawn of the Dead. Like Sean Cunningham saw Dawn of the Dead and Halloween and said, hey, let's put those together and make a movie like that, you know? So yeah, and I feel like that's why Day didn't work when it came out. People hated Day of the Dead when it came out in '85 because.
And I've always liked Day. I've always liked that.
Because 85, what other horror movies came out in 85? I mean, we're talking Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead, Friday the 13th, Part 5. All these horror movies at the time were kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of party, like a little bit of comedy. They were more fun than scary. Then here comes Day of the Dead, and it's just like this bleak, angry, fucking dark cave, people being torn to fucking shreds, like, and people at the time just were not having it. But in George's mind, that's what the 80s were. Like, he was kind of looking a little bit ahead of its time, whereas it was more angry than what people were ready for at the time. So I feel like I do agree that the tones of all three of those films in the original trilogy are different day and night, maybe a little more similar than Dawn. But Romero wanted to kind of reflect the time period in which each of those were made, which was kind of his whole idea to begin with. It's like his idea in the 70s, and you can go back and listen to Jimmy Carter talk at the time. His old idea of the 70s is like, okay, Vietnam's over and the civil rights movement was a success and now everything's fine and we can all just dance and go shopping. Right. And that's when shopping malls started popping up and everybody was just kind of, okay, let's ignore the outside world. Let's just ignore everything and we got everything we need here and blah, blah, blah. And George was just like, this is bullshit. Like, no, you can't just shut yourself off from the chaos of the world and, you know, just go to JCPenney's, you know, and,
right.
So I do agree. If you're not a fan of that type of that vibe, I do think there's a lot. I mean, it's a really dark movie because it is about the end of the world, and a lot of it from the point of view of like the TV broadcasts and stuff. Like when you're watching everybody just yelling and screaming at each other, nobody can communicate, nobody can come up with any kind of real solution. I mean, just turn on your TV now, and that's what you see. Like that's all news is anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But I totally understand. I get it. I get it.
I mean, the thing is as well, it's not as if I'm not a zombie guy. Because if we didn't have Dawn of the Dead, you got to give it its credit, man. You know, we would not be getting Zombie 2. And we definitely wouldn't be getting all those zombie holocaust, you know, Burial Ground.
Hell of the Living Dead.
And I'll show you now.
And we can kind of talk about, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the whole thing with Argento being pissed at Fulci about Zombie 2, and you know, Fulci that wasn't his choice to name it Zombie 2.
That all stemmed back though from the Giallos, where Fulci literally, Argento said Fulci was ripping him off with Don't Touch the Duckling, Lizard in a Woman's Skin, and that's where all that kind of.
But then there's something that we're going to talk about a little later. Is interesting.
So just to say that I'm a zombie guy, I wanted to quickly see if you've got these books at all. So we got Eaten Alive. No,
no.
I don't know about Dirk because I don't think.
No, I don't have that book. No.
So yeah, that's Jay Slater. You've obviously heard of this one, though, Book of the Dead.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
That's got a common one. But another good one is Dark Side brought out just zombie and it's.
Oh, that's cool
as well.
I've never seen that one either.
So it's not as if I'm trying to like argue the case. It's not as if I'm not like a zombie guy.
And I mean, I was big into zombies, more so at younger, but I still love a lot of.
Got the window. You got the window.
There
case?
You go. Oh yeah.
This was going for big money.
Sure, you got every release, right?
Oh yeah. I got a fucking shelf full of stuff here. So
right.
That was going for like £100 the last I looked. So
and I do have a copy of Dawn of the Dead. I got the Second Sight 4K.
There you go. There you
and
go.
I wouldn't sell it either because it's part of our Jenko,
it'll stay in my
Jenko's
collection.
filmography.
I mean,
at the
I'm
end
a
of the day.
history nut too, so
Yeah.
just for that
Well, I
reason
think,
alone.
and I also think, what was I going to say? But I don't think you guys are.
You know what I need to
are
do?
alone in this. I feel like I see a lot more people, more and more in this day and age, are fans of Day of the Dead more than Dawn of the Dead. I see that a lot now. Like in a lot of like, I hear that opinion more and more. So
Day of the Dead is a masterpiece from
and I'm
beginning to end.
I'm always going to be Night is the superior.
And I can
so like
get that as well. Night, I watch Night all the time on UK TV. It was on literally, once a month or whatever.
It is kind of odd though. Like, so your favorite's Dawn, mine's Night, and Darren's is Day. So
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like with Romero's trilogy, and Romero always talked about. He's like, his quote I think was something like, you got those people that Night of the Living Dead is their love. Like that's the movie that got them started on everything, and like that's their love. And then you got the people that just. Yeah. Then you got the people that just love Dawn, and it's a party, it's a comic book, it's action, yeah. And then you got the real trolls who like Day of the Dead.
I mean, Day of the Dead is getting more popular now.
It is,
as the years go by,
I mean, like you said, like when in the 10 questions, like you're talking about Romero's best film, like there's nothing that doesn't work about that movie, even now, 40 years later, like. The effects, like Savini's effects, the effects crew on Day of the Dead is one of the all-time, like, all-star teams of effects crews. I mean, you had Savini, you had Nicotero, you had, Howard Berger. I mean, all those guys went on to do big things. And it's one of those movies like...
characters as well. The characters in that film are amazing. Yeah. They all stand out. Acting, I got a big love for Day. Whereas Dawn, I find the acting is not as good. But, and we've gone through it before, and it kind of makes sense what you're saying about it is lighthearted for the time and all that. But it just doesn't take like a sore thumb for me in the trilogy.
Do understand. Like, if somebody was like just coming at The Shining, man, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. That's why I don't want to come on here and shit the film you love,
No, man, no. This is an open forum for all opinions, and I find it so. That's why I'm fascinated. It's like I would be the same if somebody came out and was just like, "Fuck The Shining, what a horrible movie." Stephen King would say that, I guess, but I would say I want to hear this out, like, because I want to hear this point of view. I want to hear this perspective because I think it's I just find it interesting, but. But just objectively speaking, in terms of what Dawn of the Dead, Zombie did for the zombie genre over in Italy and in Europe, and all of a sudden you're getting, Zombie 2, you're getting Hell of the Living Dead. I mean, the straight up ripoff of Dawn of the Dead. It played a huge role in it just blew up there in the early 80s after Dawn came out overseas.
It did for the zombie film kind of what Halloween did for the slasher film at the time, same year.
Yeah,
kind of started everything. And in that regards, I give Dawn of the Dead props big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure. But yeah, so with Zombie, I mean, there was also but this is kind of lesser known and not a lot of people have seen. It's kind of hard to find as well. Is Vampire, which was Argento took Martin, and the same editor that did his version of Zombie did a different cut of Martin with a completely different soundtrack, which is completely different Goblin soundtrack, and that soundtrack is one of my all-time favorite soundtracks.
It's pretty damn good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So you guys have you guys seen Vampire?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? Have you seen Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's another thing. So when I was a kid, I was really into vampires and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So Martin is another one that's never kind of set right with me. I don't know. Vampire is I don't know, man. There's some things I appreciate about it. I'll put it that way. I do like the flashback scenes, the black and white. I think that's really cool. He's like remembering like back his past life. but Martin's more psychological, like speaking on like social class prejudice, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, the interesting thing about the different cuts between Martin and Vampire, Martin, there's much more ambiguity to Martin. Is he a real vampire, or is he just a mentally ill kid who's been told that he's a vampire his whole life, so now he believes it himself, and then it kind of goes in from there. And whereas Vampire, it's kind of re-edited, and it's actually the dialogue is completely changed, and it's
less coherent though, I think. Like,
yeah, it's a little wacky, but it pretty much plays it as he is a real vampire.
Yeah.
Like he's confessing and all this other stuff on the phone instead of they kind of take that aspect out of it. And I wonder, I just want to get your thoughts on like why they felt the need to change it so drastically. Do you believe that Romero's version wouldn't have played well, or translated as well?
Right, I think Argento was trying to get the Giallo vibe going, obviously with the score.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
Like, obviously for European audiences and that as well. And I'm not a big Martin or
he wanted the
Vampire
faster.
guy, if I'm honest.
Yeah, he wanted the faster pace.
Yeah.
For the Italian audience.
I mean, there's some great stuff in it. There's a great the whole train scene I like a lot. But it doesn't work as a
and
whole
the last,
for me.
The end of them is great. Savini effects. I really dig that shit a lot. But they said the audiences in Italy, in Europe or whatever, were saying, well, Italy specifically was saying it was Simpio, which means a total mess. So.
And it is. I mean, that Vampire. I mean, it is kind of incoherent because it is cut all to hell. And they reuse the scene where Martin's slitting the wrist of the woman on the train, and they reuse that and try to portray her as the other female character that he kills.
Changed, they rearranged that scene.
It's all over the place. It's a little disorienting, especially if you're as big of a fan of Martin as I am and have seen the movie dozens and dozens and dozens of times as I have. But the first time I saw it, like I said, the big thing that stood out to me was just the Goblin score. The music in it is so... Yeah. It's such a badass soundtrack. And I love the way they use some of that music in that. But, I mean... I don't know, the movie as a whole, I feel like it's kind of been forgotten and lost to time for good reason. But I've just never understood why they felt the need to do that. I guess it was just to make it more palatable to foreign audiences. I guess the same reason that Argento felt that Zombie, which I guess he was right about Zombie, but not as much about Vampire, because I don't think Vampire was really that big of a hit. But I know Argento was a fan of Martin when he saw Romero's U.S. cut of Martin, so I just thought that was interesting about that.
Right, I got to ask you as well. I was going to say,
in 2000,
go on, sorry. Go on.
In 2001 at the Torino Film Festival in Italy, Martin was destroyed in a fire. So the only cut that Italy had was for that festival was like the Vampire was the primary version.
Oh wow!
In Italy for a while,
That's crazy.
Not sure when that came back, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, holy shit! So
I've never been too sure about the story of that. I guess maybe that was just part of. I just assume it was part of the deal that they cut when they made the deal for Dawn of the Dead. Like maybe he would also get the right
editing a little wonky.
It's very choppy. But you gotta blame Argento for that.
Well, it's that Piero Bazza, right?
Okay, yeah.
He also did the editing for the Argento cut of Zombie. Or Dawn of the Dead Zombie.
I was going to ask you though about the 3 hour. So there's a 3 hour cut of Martin, or just under. I think it's 165 minutes. Do you know what extra stuff is in there that's never been seen before?
I mean, there's longer scenes. There's more stuff. Just from what I've heard, I don't know for sure. I've never seen it, but there's more of the flashback stuff from when when he flashes back. That it's all in black and white.
Yeah,
Which Martin
I do like that, like because he is a vampire and vampire.
Yeah.
Like there's no question in it.
Yeah.
Right? And like if he is and he's lived that long, like what his uncle says or whatever.
Yeah.
You're seeing
he's 80, 84 years old or whatever.
Right. And yeah. And something else I thought was interesting. It was called Martin 2, Vampiro.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
In Italy, that's another title.
I haven't heard that one. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just found that out. So.
But yeah, there's the longer cut. I don't know if anything will ever come of it. It's currently at the archive in Pittsburgh, the Romero archive at the University of Pittsburgh.
So what do you think? Do you think in Martin, do you think he's mentally ill, or do you think he's a vampire?
I think he's just a product of his environment. I think he's just a mentally ill kid who grew up around this religious superstition and his whole life. And he's been told that he's Nosferatu, he's got the curse, so he believes it. And if you believe something, it's why I always consider like Martin and Season of the Witch as like almost cousins, because it's the same idea. It's like if you believe something strong enough, you can start to make, like when he talks about like, oh, sometimes I'll get shaky or the sun will hurt my eyes sometimes. It's like he's using all the tropes and stuff that he had learned from the movies and stuff from over the years, and is incorporating it into the idea that he has this curse that he has to drink human blood or he gets sick. But so I think it's all just in his head. It's just been pounded into his head over the years by his his family members. And
so so I don't really know the answer to this. So was Romero, was he a believer or was he an atheist, or
Romero grew up Catholic, but I don't.
Okay.
I guess I don't think he ever really like.
He never
fully
put that out. Okay.
Yeah, he never really fully like espoused any religious
so many
belief
of
or
them
anything.
do,
But
so
yeah,
many of them will straight up say whether.
But Romero was the kind of filmmaker that would just love to take jabs at any kind of establishment, whether it's government or organized religion or anything. Like he was just like, I don't want any part of any of it. So
right.
So what would you say is his social commentary in Martin then? Is it to do with drugs, do you think? He's kind of putting a message about that?
Go ahead, Alfred.
I don't know. I think that the more commentary is just the idea of the effects of I don't know, maybe the effects of religious indoctrination. Like if you are grown, like if since birth, if you're pounded in to believe that you're a monster, like maybe that'll be the case. But also just the fact that in a real world, because one thing I love, and I want to get this tattoo, and actually I can't reach it, but on the cover of Martin, there's a razor blade that's got the blood coming down. It's got the fangs on the razor blade, and on the razor blade it says "Made in the USA." And I think the social commentary that Romero is really getting at in Martin is that we are all products of our environment, and crazy shit like this can happen in a crazy country like America. And the setting of the film being in a town like Braddock, which is still to this day a dying, dead former steel town outside of Pittsburgh that used to be this vibrant, happening place. That when the steel mills closed the doors, the town died along with it. So it was like, you can see how sometimes, I don't know, just industry can suck the blood and suck the life out of a town just like a vampire would. And there's a lot of like subtle little things there. But I
can definitely see like they're trying to sway him to their way of believing, and he's rebelling against it for the most part. He's not accepting it really, and that's.
His whole thing is like they think he's a literal vampire. He's the magic, the mirrors and the garlic and
right.
Yeah, and he's saying he's kind of half and half. He believes that he does have something wrong with him, but he's telling him, he's like, it's just a sickness. Like there's no magic. There is no magic. I'm not a Dracula. I'm not like Dracula. But I am fucked up. I am sick. Like I am.
He's definitely conflicted. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just a fucked up kid.
How did you both feel about the Italian dub as well? It's like kind of weird to see Tom Savini, speaking in Italian.
Yeah.
I felt that to me, it did have that kind of giallo type feel to
Yeah,
it, even
yeah.
not just in the actual visuals as well. So I think what he's trying to do worked. For I don't know how successful it was in Europe, but it seemed to work on
It
that
wasn't.
level for me.
It wasn't very successful.
No.
They didn't.
Yeah.
The audiences didn't really, like I said,
Didn't
they
take to it.
called it Simpio. Total mess.
Was this available for a long time? I'm guessing no. Was it on like some? I think it was maybe a.
I
really
think
rare
that's odd that
VHS
it's not
tape.
in the new release that Second Sight put out, right?
Yeah, it's not included on that, but it is included in. There's a it's an Arrow release, a UK Arrow release on DVD from back in the day.
Right.
Okay.
And it is included on that. So and that's why that's the first time that I saw it. There are some individual like DVD and VHS releases that you can find, but
I just wonder why Second Sight didn't get that for whatever reason.
I don't know who the hell owns the rights to that version.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I guess
Probably.
maybe Argento does, but I mean, that other than that, I don't know.
Right.
But I always just thought that was interesting. I never knew that version existed until years and years after the fact, and I was like, oh, I got to check this out. And I was like, yeah, the cutting and the editing, it's just kind of it's kind of all over the place. But man, I do love that Goblin soundtrack though.
When it kicks off that Goblin soundtrack early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. I mean, that's the money. For sure.
God, yeah. I was saying to Dirk as well, like watching that as well. I couldn't like envisage like George Romero doing that film because it's so different to his other films, isn't it? Just the look. Martin seems like really cheaply made.
It was made for $85,000, I think, in total. And another thing was that it was lit. So when they were shooting the film, Romero wanted the whole movie to be in black and white, like the 2.5 hour cut that we were talking about. Like that's all in black and white. That's what Romero intended. So the lighting on that movie sometimes looks a little off because it was lit to be shot in black and white. So it was lit for black and white, but they were, it was like, oh, we can't sell a movie in black and white. We'll make it color, And so, but yeah, I mean, it's a very. And it was Romero's first feature film after The Crazies, and Romero went off and did all the sports docs and was doing all this stuff to try to rebuild his reputation, I guess. Because after Night of the Living Dead, the next three films were not a huge success at all. I mean, they were huge failures for Romero. So when Martin came around, it was something cheap he could do, and it was something kind of personal. And to the day that he died, he always said that Martin was his favorite film that he ever did. So.
Okay. Damn, I didn't know that. I figured it would have been Night, but
no. He said Martin was the film that everything that he wanted to get, he got, because it was such a there was like maybe 5 people in total on the crew. It was just a guerrilla filmmaking, just running around shooting. And he says we shot everything because it didn't take that long. It was just like, hey, let's get a shot of this, and he's like, okay, all right, let's move on. What's next? And he just got everything.
In the Vampire cut, though, there's a scene where there's these guys, these black guys, harassing this woman, about her groceries and shit, and then the scene just is cut. Like it feels like there needs to be something else there. Like
there's a few moments in Vampire like that.
Yeah, and that's that. What's his name? Piero Boza or whatever. The editor.
Yeah. It's the same guy that did the zombie cut, and the zombie cut, like there are moments like that. I mean, as somebody who's grew up watching Dawn of the Dead over and over and over again, first time I saw the European cut of Dawn of the Dead, it was a little jarring to be like, oh, okay, that cut a little too quick, but it's still really, it's still legible and coherent, Whereas Vampire, there's moments where it's just like, where the fuck did that come from? All right,
like, what happened there? There's a whole other conversation that's happening right now. We're not seeing it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, we'll move here now. Let me see. I'm going to try to catch up on some of these comments here real quick.
Yeah, man.
Then we'll talk about Two Evil Eyes. Where was I? Hey, Anna. Anna 3B's in the house. What's the name of the Rodriguez book? I just joined. I don't know. What is the...
She was talking about your book. I seen that comment earlier when you was talking about the book that you were... That's not Rodriguez. We were talking about Rodriguez. She probably thought...
Oh. I'm a little behind. So
that book that you got, which one is that you were showing her earlier?
This one?
That's the one she's wondering about.
George A. Romero's Independent Cinema. Tom Fallows.
But I think when she came in, we were talking about Rodriguez. So she probably.
Spasmo trailer is funny. Yeah, it's a very funny trailer. Try to. Come on, computer. There we go. Steven says, I can clearly see now why we won the Revolutionary War. I guess in response to your distaste of Dawn there, Darren. However, I will salute your courage for coming on a Romero podcast and giving your opinions. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, I will know back. Like, I won't, I won't literally come on and shit all over something because I respect your opinion.
Yeah. Well, I said earlier it's not the worst, so there's that. Yeah.
And that's high praise coming from Dirk. The man who retitled Dawn of the Dead Yawn of the Dead. So
that's the best you're gonna get from Dirk at this point.
It's not the worst. All right, Rick's let's see. Rick says, here's a question when it comes to the core types of groups who are portrayed as survivors. One, just a random group of people caught outside during the start looking for a place to hide. Or two, come on, there we go. Two, a group of government agency or privacy company, usually mix of scientists, doctors, and military personnel, which usually are abandoned on a lone, remote, or fortified outpost. What's the question, Rick?
Yeah, I was trying to work out the question. You're just making those 2 points, maybe.
I guess, yeah, because it is two very different groups of survivors there, I guess, but I don't know.
I think I prefer the random people.
Just a random group of people caught in the middle of the shitstorm.
They got to make the shit happen, kind of.
Yeah, it's a little interesting.
Not the organized federal government.
The government reaction to it. Yeah,
the prepared government,
which obviously worked well. Ed saying Dirk's thoughts on the 1990s TV version of The Shining. What are your thoughts on the TV version of The Shining, Dirk?
No, man. I think it's
no, man.
Yeah, I think that's Stephen King's belly aching attempt to make it to jab at Kubrick's masterpiece, and it didn't work. So it's just fucking awful. The little kid that plays Danny Lloyd, man, he can. Holy shit!
Isn't that the kid that plays in The Little Rascals? Isn't that the same kid?
Probably so.
Got that fucking mouth. It's just like I've
never wanted to kick a kid in the head until I seen that. But
yeah, when it comes to filmmaking, I think I'll stick with Kubrick over King.
Right.
If I want to ask anybody about filmmaking, but
here's an interesting fact. So King said that Kubrick had no idea what it takes to make a horror film. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, you wonder what he was smoking that day or whatever. He was on something.
Because I know officially that's only Kubrick's only horror film officially, but there's several films that feel like horror.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some horror elements in Eyes Wide Shut. There's horror elements in The Clockwork Orange, like
Space Odyssey.
Yeah, there are horror elements to his movies.
Yeah.
Even the scene when fucking dude's sitting on the toilet with the M16, that look on his face, the music, the atmosphere of that scene, that's horror as anything to me. I don't know.
The Kubrick stare.
Yeah.
What that's known as. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. Stephen King.
That adaptation is the worst damn TV movie ever made. Should have never happened.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Suzanne, what's going on, Suzanne? Suzanne Herg, Ghoul Evening all. I like that. Very good.
Yeah. What's going on?
It says Romero appeared to be agnostic, but he didn't want any harm to come to the nun zombie in Dawn. That's true.
Okay.
Because originally the nun zombie was supposed to get shot, but Romero was like, no, we can't kill the nun. We can't kill the nun. So he still had his Catholic background there, I guess.
Right. Kind of like
Okay, here we go. Steven wants to know what's the Eurocrypt opinion on Dawn of the Dead 2004.
I'm feeling I'm putting my own noose up at this point because I do actually.
Yeah.
I like Dawn of the Dead remake a lot.
I do. I like it. I don't like the baby scene. That's stupid as hell. But but I mean, it's not. I don't watch that shit every year or nothing. Like,
it's not a yearly revisit.
No, but I mean,
see now,
I know I'm about to get executed here, but I definitely put it over the.
It's all right. I'm hand drawn and quartered already.
All right. Now we've gone too far. We've gone too fucking far now.
Yeah.
I will say though, around that time is when I stopped getting into zombie films because, like, are there any real good ones?
It got a little overdone.
Zombie films after 2004. Yeah. Or can you name any good ones?
Shaun of the Dead.
Maybe
I love Shaun of the Dead. I like some weird ones after the.
I like Maggie.
I liked Maggie.
I did too.
People kind of, because I guess it's Schwarzenegger doing a serious role in a zombie movie, but I thought it was good.
I think that's his best performance as acting wise.
Yeah, I mean it's up there. I mean but I think
serious in that one.
Yeah. Maggie's good.
The Walking Dead killed it for me. Watching.
Yeah, that was overkill around that time. At that time, like, and I still get it to this day. When I tell people like, oh yeah, like, Dawn of the Dead, like people that aren't into horror or whatever, it's like you just tell them like, oh, I do Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, stuff like that. It's like, oh, so you like you like Walking Dead? I'm like, not really. And they're like, oh, I thought you'd love Walking Dead. I'm like, oh no. I mean,
did you ever check out those comic books though?
No, I'm not a big comic book guy.
Okay, I was just wondering if you ever.
I've always heard those were great, but I've just
with the actual source. That's just, for the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I heard it's better than the actual show. So
yeah, I've always heard that too. Like I have friends that are all about the comics, but I've just never. I'm not a big comic book guy. I'm not. I watched the first season of Walking Dead, and I was like, all right, that's good. I'll move on.
That's it.
I was like, yeah. And then it just got to be so popular and so huge that it was just like, I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of like you, Darren. Like I was just like, I don't want anything to do with zombies for a while. Like just, I'll stick with my old school blue face zombies, and I'll, y'all can, do what you want. But
yeah.
See, Sense says the audience is probably called Argento Fascia Bruta or Disgrazio when it comes to vampire. I'm guessing that means
disgrace.
Disgraced. What is fascia bruta? I know fascia is face.
What
is bruta?
Brutal face,
brutal?
maybe? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Brutal. I don't know.
What a brutal face on that guy. It says I have Goblin score for Martin on vinyl. Kicks ass. Yeah.
It's a badass
by
score.
far the best part of that movie for me was that same track. Yeah.
Okay, so Rodriguez's book, Rebel Without a Crew. Okay, so that's what she's talking about, the Rodriguez book. Okay. So I think we're almost caught up on these. Rick's got another question. Which situation is more entertaining? Which situation is more entertaining or exciting? Okay, so he's asking, which situation do we feel like is more entertaining? The idea of just a random group of people in the middle of the shitstorm, or the idea of the government, the military, the scientists, and all that.
I think it's the everyday people.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I guess he's getting at like Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead. Like you got just a random assortment of just everyday people, and then
See, I love Day of the Dead that much that I'd have to go with the other one.
That's why it's night for me.
Because you got the isolation, you're underground, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drunkenstein. What's going on, Drunkenstein? Snyder is a great filmmaker. Yeah. Snyder's a great filmmaker. His version of Dawn is a totally different movie. Should have been retitled.
I agree with you there.
It wouldn't have made the money though, probably.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Is Dawn of the Dead really a bankable title? It's not like Halloween or Night of the Living or Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that to a mainstream audience. Because I feel like most normal people, most non-horror fan, just your typical moviegoer or whatever, just kind of like Dawn of the Dead to them is the 2004 version. Like that's what they think of, you know.
It's a great title. I'll give it. I mean, it is. It's a great title.
Yeah.
Catchy.
You know. It's the alliteration.
I think at that time though, I actually think you're downplaying Dawn of the Dead 78 in a way, because every single person, like most people I know, it's in their top 10, it's in their top 5, whatever. So I do actually think, well, around about 2004 when that came out, they probably were thinking, you know, there's so many Dawn fans out there from the original. Yeah, I think they actually think the opposite. I think they thought it was a bankable title.
Right. Yeah, because you're gonna bring the true horror fans to that. They just want to see you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it got me to the theater. I mean, when that came out, like I was there immediately. I was like, oh, I got to see what Dawn of the Dead is. But,
so I take it it's not up there for you.
No, it's not up there for me. My biggest problem with the Dawn remake, I don't give a fuck about running zombies or slow zombies or anything like that. That's not the conversation for me. The conversation for me is like, what is that fucking movie about? What is it about? What is the point of that movie?
Yeah.
Like there's no story, there's no reasoning for that movie to exist. It's just literally people in a shopping mall running from zombies. Like I don't know. There's no
little teddy bear girl zombie is the shit though. I thought. You don't think
the one at the very beginning?
Yeah. That whole scene is just.
I mean, yeah, there's some really good visuals and all that. There's some good stuff to it, but it's like, what's the point? And it doesn't really make any sense, like story wise, going from point A to point B to point C. There's no reason for that movie. It's like, hey, we're going to the mall. It's like, why? I don't know, just going to the mall. All right, now we're at the mall. All right, now we're leaving the mall. We're gonna go see if we can find this imaginary island that we just pulled out of our ass. It's like, why? We're safe here. It's like, no, we got to go to. It's just like, what? I don't know.
Is that a reason though? Because it's your favorite film, the original. Is that play a big bias towards the reason you don't like that?
I'm sure.
Another point I want to say is, do you like any of his remakes that they did of the Crazies? Or obviously you didn't like the Day of the Dead, which was awful.
I'll say that the Crazies remake is fucking garbage. I can't.
So do you think you're Clyde in your opinion?
I don't like that guy. I can't remember his name.
It definitely does. It definitely does have an effect on my opinion of those movies. I won't deny that it does, but just when I try to watch it, just because I did a stream with Grande, I don't know, about a year and a half ago or something like that, where we looked at all the Romero remakes. And my biggest issue with Dawn, I was like, it's well made. Like, there's good about it, but when it comes down to it, like it doesn't make any sense. And there's no story where I can't tell you what that movie is about. Like, there's no overarching thing. There's no point to it. Whereas like Romero's version it's about consumerism. It's about, there's a point to it. This version, it's just like they go from each scene is just a setup to another action set piece. And there's no real reason why they're doing any of this stuff to begin with. They're just going from place to place and just like, okay, now we're setting up another scene, another zombie attack, or so I mean, I just have issues with it as a movie in general, and the Crazies remake, I'm not a fan of at all. I'm like with Dirk, like I just think that completely missed the point.
What's that lead actor's name? I know a lot of people love that guy, but
Timothy Elephant or whatever. Is that the guy? Timothy Oliphant or whatever?
I can't stand that guy. That's why I don't like Scream 2 either. So.
But I will say the Day of the Dead remake that Steve Miner did, as bad as it is, at least I can get a good laugh out of it, and at least it's kind of entertaining on it. Like, same reason I like Bruno Mattei's movies, I guess. It's a shitty movie, and I get a good laugh out of it because it's so bad.
Right.
Okay, is that the one that's got zombies on the ceiling?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I'd watch.
And they're just like, they're like little spiders.
Yeah.
But all right, you guys want to talk about Two Evil Eyes here real quick? Let's get into it.
Yeah,
man.
So, some years later, about a decade later, Romero and Argento team back up for Two Evil Eyes, which was a concept that Argento came up with because Argento is a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan.
Right.
Wanted to do something for Edgar Allan Poe, and he wanted to do the original idea, from what I remember. The original idea that Argento had for it was kind of an anthology film of Edgar Allan Poe stories, which I mean it is an anthology film, but it was supposed to be Argento would do one, Romero would do one, Carpenter would do one, I believe.
Clive Barker,
Clive Barker,
Stephen King.
So there were,
and even Wes Craven at one
He
point.
tried to get Wes Craven in at one point, yeah.
Okay. So there was it was supposed to be a much bigger thing at that point. But for one reason or another, the only one that came through was Romero, because Romero felt like he owed it to Dario, I feel like, at the time. I don't, like, we kind of touched on it.
I mean, I could be wrong, but what I was reading about it, I think he was excited. And Claudio and Dario, they had branched apart. I don't know if you know this, but they hadn't talked together for years because Claudio produced Santa Sangre. Have you ever seen that movie? That's a weird. That's a weird.
I've never seen that one.
I love it though. It's cool, but Dario was pissed at him because he produced that film for whatever reason, and so they didn't talk for a few years, and then they reconnected. I think George was excited to go to Italy, is what I was reading. But
yeah,
and his idea,
set, didn't he? Yeah,
he wanted to do Mask of the Red Death,
right?
And Dario and Claudio they didn't like that idea, and he was like, so I think it just kind of took the wind out of his sails, Yeah,
well, I thought so. They ended up shooting, didn't they? They shot that in Pittsburgh. So Dario ended up coming to the U.S. to shoot that in Pittsburgh at the time. Because I remember.
Maybe I'm mixing up the other shit. Where
no, you're right, because Romero did want to shoot it in Italy.
Yeah, he wanted to do it in Italy.
He wanted to do it in Italy. They ended up doing it in Pittsburgh because there's all this great behind the scenes footage of Dario eating buffalo wings, and because he loved buffalo wings, and he's throwing a football with Tom Savini in the streets of Pittsburgh. Like, he was just living it up, full blast, shooting something in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Originally they did want, before it even becomes like a TV, or not even so much a TV movie, but like a portmanteau. Originally he wanted to do a TV series. And then he did a documentary on Edgar Allan Poe. Dario filmed it all himself. But then again, I think he used a little bit of that footage at the beginning of Two Evil Eyes. Segment. So there was a lot of kind of history, and then he was the main, obviously, producer, and George was just there. I think he was just going for the motions, to be honest.
Carpenter was doing Memoirs of the Invisible Man. That's why.
Was that what he was doing around that time?
Yeah.
He was doing some sci-fi film, I think, and then he went on to do Memoirs of the Invisible Man.
And then King didn't want to direct after Maximum Overdrive, so he was.
That's right, yeah.
So he's like,
he ran out of blow. He couldn't do it. Right. He couldn't do it. He was like, I can do it.
No, I'm not doing that shit.
But Dario originally wanted to do The Pit and the Pendulum. They were even going to bring in Donald Sutherland at one point to introduce.
Which I think that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been. I presume the money was the reason they didn't do that.
Yeah, had him being Poe, right? Edgar Allan Poe.
That would have been awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Right.
It just seemed like a movie that the original concept of it, the idea for it, was much bigger than what it ended up having to be. I mean, you whittled it down to just the two filmmakers, the Two Evil Eyes, with Romero and Argento. And I mean, I feel like it was more of an Argento passion project, more so than a Romero passion project. Like, Romero, I feel like was just kind of doing a favor for Dario. He's like, okay, I'll help you with it. I'll do one, Whereas Dario, we can tell. Like, I'll say it. Like, Argento's portion of that movie is much better than Romero's. I'm not a fan of Romero's. Really? Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Romero.
And I hear that a lot, and I'm going to shock you here. I like Romero's segment better.
Interesting. Look at you coming out with these hot takes.
And I'm going to shock you even more by saying I do like Romero's better as well.
Okay.
It's
explain.
So it's the only Poe story that there's like a living dead person. It's the only Edgar Allan Poe story, and that thrilled Argento, right? That Romero did that. Even though Romero wasn't into it, I don't know, man. I kind of prefer it over Argento's segment, man. It's his Black Cat kind of aggravates the shit out of me.
Really? Why?
I mean, it's
No,
been
you
done
don't like?
better.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
So like Martino's Sergio Martino to me made the best Black Cat story with your vice is a lot room and only I have the key. And then even Fulci's Black Cat, which Argento shits on Fulci. He said there's not been a proper. He's pretty much shitting on Fulci. He's like, there's never been a proper Black Cat put to screen. That's what Argento's words were.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute.
Damn.
But
this was kind of
I don't like the lead actress in that, you know. And Harvey Keitel is like
I don't like Harvey Keitel in that role either.
I usually like him, but I don't know about
whether because it's like he's a really big name and you see him in so much other stuff that it doesn't quite work for me. I'd rather get like an unknown or someone, you know, not as well known. It doesn't work for me at all, that Black Cat. And I think it was his kind of way of getting back at Fulci, which he even admitted, which kind of backfired because it's a lot worse than like Fulci's. I think it's a great film.
Yeah, I mean the movie itself,
but yeah, it's interesting because Argento shot his segment. Go on, sorry. No, I was going to say Argento shot his segment in like 32 days, 33 days, I think it was. Yeah. And Romero shot his in like 21, 22.
22 on schedule.
So you could tell Argento was all for himself.
Yeah, Romero was on schedule. Argento wasn't. Like, you know. It's also so that post story is the facts of Mr. Valdemar, and it was written in 1845 or whatever, right? But I think it's an interesting, like the original story is pretty interesting. So it's like a guy hypnotizes this madman tycoon kind of guy, and like he's dying from tuberculosis in the original story. And then Romero just kind of does his own spin on it. But I don't like, I do agree that passion is not there. You know, like the hypnotist suspends his death.
Yeah.
I do like that idea. Pretty
See, the thing for me, it feels like an episode, which I mean, it's fine. It feels like an episode of like Tales from the Crypt or something, or Tales from the Dark Side, or it doesn't.
I can see that. Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't kick it into that next gear for me. I don't know. It feels a little. I don't know. Adrian Barbeau is great in it. There's just something about it. And I think it is the fact, like what you said, that Romero's passion, his heart, I don't feel like was really in it. Like it was just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna kind of go through it. We're gonna do our thing here. And whereas like Argento's version, to me, you can see like he was more into what he was doing. It felt more.
Yeah, he definitely has the references to Poe. With the pit and the pendulum at the beginning, he's got the better set pieces too.
And you kind of get the Cannibal Holocaust thing where Harvey Keitel gets the spear through the mouth up the ass or whatever, you know.
Right.
Like, and that goes. I mean, that was some of some of Savini's most underrated work. In
and the end with the cleaver scene is fucking money. Yeah,
I don't think that ending with the ending to Argento's segment works for me at all. It comes like quite abrupt as well, and it just ends and that's it. You know, really quickly. I don't know, man. I've heard Troy Haworth call the first segment Romero's like a soap opera, which I don't agree with. I do think it's a little bit better than that. But no, I don't know. Argento's has just never worked for me. I would actually say it's one of the worst Argento.
I would have loved to see
things I've ever seen.
If Romero would have had his way, you know, if he would have had his way and made his take on Mask of the Red Death, because he definitely would have, his passion would have shown through, and he was going to do a parable of the AIDS epidemic at the time with Mask of the Red Death. And have you ever seen Mask of the Red Death?
I haven't. No, I've never seen it.
Price, Roger Corman film. Oh man, I would have loved to have seen that shit. And
he actually wanted to do it, didn't he? But Dario shot him down and said it's going to cost
him and Claudio
too much money.
Was like, no, you know, you gotta, you're not doing that. like for whatever reason. And I'm just like, why not let the man do what he wants? Shit.
Yeah, but with Argento, he's indulgent. He probably wants his is to be the better one out the two, and it's just the way he was and the way he is. Never gets
it's aggravating though, because I love Mask of the Red Death, and it's a highly underrated film for anybody who hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I would have
George had to have seen it, you know.
I'd have rather have seen, honestly, George do anything other than what he did.
He was touching on social issues though throughout his career, right? So
yeah, but that's the kind of thing, like during that period in general for George, Monkey Shines, Dark Half, like I felt like he was doing a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily his. It was an interpretation of a novel or something else like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just inclined not to like that time period of George's career anyway.
Okay.
I much prefer like his smaller, independent, like self, the stuff that he wrote, the stuff that came out of his head, Martin, Crazy, Season of the Witch, etc.
Right.
So yeah, that Two Evil Eyes to me is probably my least favorite Romero film, and is really down there for our Argento films. I actually consider it more of an Argento film than a Romero film.
Yeah, I've heard people say only One Evil Eye is good. So,
yeah.
Yeah, they kind of fell out, didn't they? Or they didn't speak for a while. I know they made
that was the last time they collaborated.
Yeah. They made up before George's death, obviously, but and you can imagine when they got together, when they were like when George went over, or they were talking around the table, because Argento obviously isn't fluent in English, so I think they had like speech interpreters between the two at one point. Because even now, I don't think Argento's that fluent. So
no,
you can see like maybe the message is not getting across. But in terms of this film, I will say I do like the Pino Donaggio score in Argento's segment.
Yeah,
that is fucking kick ass, man. I could listen to that all day long.
I mean, there's some great, there is some great pieces. That shit when the unwalling scene though, I can't forgive that shit. I just no.
It doesn't create the suspense.
Like, dude, what are you doing, man, with these skinless cats? And that's some weird. I don't know, man. It looks like something, like you said. It looks like something you see on like the new Creep Show.
Yeah.
It looks like the new Creep Show TV series.
I would never, if someone showed me the Black Cat, there's no way I would ever say that's Dario, without knowing that was Dario Argento. Just no way,
When it comes to like Argento's filmography, like I said, it's not my favorite. It's not up there, but I do like it better than George's half of the film.
Okay, that's surprising. But I mean, I get it.
It just feels like there's just more. And I don't think it's great or anything. I just feel like there's more to it than George's.
Baltimore kind of reminds me of like, what's the segment from Creep Show that tied me over? Or
yeah, when he comes back and he's kind of got the
he puts me in that mind state. I think maybe that's what it is.
It could be. I don't know. It has never worked for me. Never really.
I like the idea.
My attention.
I think I like the idea more. So, where it's a hypnotist. He's hypnotized somebody right before they die, and they can't really die, but then something dark comes back. I like that idea. I think that's what it is the most for me. But
yeah, I don't know. It's the movie itself is not one of my go-tos, not one of my favorites.
Right.
And it's
I got you.
Like it's a crazy situation, because it's like George is obviously my favorite director. Dario's probably my second favorite director. And you're like, okay, so I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was like, holy shit, Romero and Argento, like they did a movie together, and it's called and it's based on Poe's stories. Like, this is going to be a fucking awesome movie. And then I watch it and I'm like, I don't know if I like that or not. And then it's just like, no, I don't. And it's come to the point now where I'm just like, I have to admit, like, I don't like that movie at all. Like, it's my least favorite of Romero's films, and definitely at the very bottom for my Argento films for me. So
this was Argento trying to break America as well, if you think about it.
He's trying to get into the American market. And
it was hugely unsuccessful too. Like I think
Yeah.
it barely even played theaters over here in the U.S. I don't know. I guess it was a little more successful overseas just because it was Dario. But
Sure.
in the U.S., I think it played a handful of theaters for a weekend, and then it was just basically just like straight to video or whatever.
Get
So
that shit out of here.
yeah, and it's just like it's crazy to think like you got two iconic horror filmmakers tackling Edgar Allan Poe stories, and it just somehow
With
just
a $9
didn't
million
work.
budget.
Yeah, which was probably one of the biggest budgets that Romero had ever had at the time.
Right.
I agree with you though. I feel like it's more like Tales from the Crypt. I don't even think these two episodes would have made like a Masters of Horror like TV series. I don't even think they're as good as that.
I can
to be
agree with
honest.
that. I'll say this. I'll say Romero's his Black Cat that he wrote for Tales from the Dark Side, the movie.
Oh, okay.
I'd
Yeah.
definitely put over these two.
Cat from Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'd put that.
I
shit over
fucking love Tales from the Dark Side, the movie.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
came out the same year. That was 1990 as well.
And that's Romero's take on the Black Cat, which is it's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
That's one like the question you gave earlier about underrated. That's one of the underrated ones.
Yeah.
No one mentioned really.
Yeah. So I mean, and I
I
guess
mean, I've got 2 frigging copies of it. I don't know if that tells you anything about me, but
oh, that's cool. I have like 3.
Yeah,
I talk about how much I hate this fucking movie, but
Exactly.
I got
Yeah.
it's got the lenticular Blue Underground version here. I got it on DVD. I mean, I have it, but
I'll be honest, I don't own that. So
well, you're not missing much, man.
right.
I mean, I'm not upgrading the DVDs to be honest.
But like I said, Martino,
you know.
he smashes, Fulci and Argento. To
Mm.
me,
I haven't seen that one. I've seen the Fulci one,
Yeah.
and I wasn't that impressed with that one either. So it may just be like the story itself. I just
give
don't.
that,
like.
really?
give that
Okay.
one another
Yeah.
go, right? Because I had the same when I first saw the Black Cat Fulci. I was like, I'm not fussed on this, but I
Yeah.
went back in the right atmosphere. And if you look at it like an old kind of Hammer film, it's got that vibe, and the music. Once that music kicks in, and you start getting used to it,
It's
completely changed for me.
It's been years since I've seen it. It's probably been a
I'd
good.
give it another go, definitely.
God, how
I
long
did want to
ago?
bring up the
15
the
years
neighbor,
ago?
the neighbor, the old man in Argento's segment is he played the detective, the PI in Psycho, in the original Psycho,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and you see him at the staircase.
Oh,
So
the
you
guy
know-
that falls down
Oh.
the stairs.
Yeah.
You mean? Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So you
Yeah,
see him
yeah.
at the staircase, but see Argento does like a little twist. So people that knew when they're watching the film, like he let him live, kind of do, versus
I
Psycho.
thought he looked familiar. I like.
Yeah,
So
never
that's
realized that.
Martin Balsam, yeah,
Hmm.
played the PI in Psycho. So, but
Did not know that. Which is funny because Romero, for all but despised Hitchcock, so it's funny that Argento threw in a Hitchcock reference there.
oh, Romero didn't like Hitchcock.
No, that Romero's first job
Oh, wow.
was on. He worked as just kind of like a set boy when he was like 19 years old on North by Northwest,
Oh, okay.
and he saw how Hitchcock treated his actors and the crew, and was kind of the authoritarian, yeah. and George was like, I never want to be like that. I never want to be that guy. That's why George was always open to suggestions and collaboration, and was always laid back and relaxed on set. He said, seeing Hitchcock on a set treating people like that just turned Romero off from not just Hitchcock, but from just the Hollywood system in general. Like George didn't care for that. So
Do you
Oh,
think
God.
that?
Did you think you ever saw Dario on a film set? Because Dario used to treat people like shit.
that's
man.
a good question. I don't think so. Because I know that they filmed for Two Evil Eyes. They shot it was two separate things. I don't think they were ever on the same set together. Not that I know of. They may have. George may have visited the set or vice versa. I know Dario visited the set of Dawn a couple of times, but yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, because Dario, he looked at actors like a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Like that's his own words,
They were just pieces of the puzzle, just pieces of the chessboard that he could move around so he could move his camera and do his shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, fuck you, get done.
Do you think that Romero? I mean, what's your opinion? You think Romero's personality is a lot like Toby Hooper's? I always felt like that. Like they were pretty laid back, almost.
Yeah, I could say. I think Romero is a little more.
Did they ever collaborate on anything? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so. Romero and Toby Hooper, I don't think so. Not
That'd have been some cool shit, I think.
Oh god, yeah.
I often wonder. I don't know, like Toby Hooper did some good stuff in his career.
Yeah.
But Texas Chainsaw Massacre was just something completely different that like nobody ever touched. To me, like in my opinion, nobody's ever touched that after the fact. And it's like, what was it about that? Like, cause like I like Texas Chainsaw 2. I like, Funhouse and, Eaten Alive and all the other stuff that Toby Hooper did after the fact. But he Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
Poltergeist, if you want to count Poltergeist.
Oh, it was definitely. I don't know. I'm gonna get some hate on that one, but
he hit on something with Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I don't feel like he ever hit on again. I wonder how much that had to do with him, how much that had to do with Kim Hinkle, how much that had to do with,
it was
the
perfect storm, right?
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about Romero and Night of the Living Dead. I mean, Romero, Night of the Living Dead was a communal effort. I mean, you had, John Russo and Russ Streiner and Carl Hardman, and it was a collaborative effort from everybody at that time. Romero was just kind of de facto director because he kind of knew the most and knew how to do everything.
Right.
So yeah, I see the similarities there in terms of like Texas Chainsaw being a collaborative effort from a group of talented people, because Daniel Pearl is his cinematography on Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the most underrated aspects of that film to me. Like it's brilliant,
and he did the remake, which is insane.
You'll never get another Texas Chainsaw. Because when I watch that film now, and I watch it in the summer, like definitely, you feel the fucking heat coming off the screen at you, and it's lightning in a bottle. It literally is.
It really is. There's a vibe to it that's just never been captured again, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
I know Dario. He couldn't stand Harvey Keitel's ad libbing that he would do.
That pissed him off. Yeah,
he was a method actor and shit. So
they kind of clashed a little bit, but they got on for like 90% of the shoot.
And then George and Romero, George and Argento didn't talk for a while after this because Romero was pissed about the sound mix.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't like the sound mix. It was done after the fact kind of deal.
Did get the raw end of the deal, really, if you think about it. It's more, like you say, Argento just put everything in his favor with his episode, over George's. And yeah, they didn't speak for a few years, but I'm glad
they ended up making out.
Yeah.
I think Ozzy being cast for Land of the Dead was kind of George's olive branch there. It's just kind of like, hey, let's keep the tradition going,
Right.
Yeah.
But I did have a quote from Argento. He said about Romero. He said, I criticize him for not being as committed as he should have been. We attend the screening of Two Evil Eyes, but lost touch with each other for some time after that. So
yeah, makes sense.
I just don't feel like Romero really cared about that movie too much. Like it wasn't really a passion for him. It was kind of He committed to doing it because it was Dario asking him to do it, and George always respected Dario. But I think when the rubber hit the road, I think George was just like I don't really want to be doing this right now.
Yeah.
Because George, at that time especially, 1990, he had the remake of Night of the Living Dead was in production. Or maybe that was 89. But
how do you feel about that one, 1990?
I like it. That's the first zombie movie I ever saw as a kid. Was Night 90. That's the one that kind of introduced me to the whole thing. Yeah. In terms of Romero's remakes, it's to me the best.
It's funny because when I met Tom Savini for the first time, and he had Patricia Tallman right next to him, and he was trying to sell me a book for one thing. And
That sounds right.
and I didn't want to buy the book, whatever. And then he wanted me to get an autograph from Patricia Tallman, and I didn't do that either. He was mad. So it wasn't a very good experience meeting Savini, but
that seems to be a common story.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
think a lot of people have had very good. Savini's an interesting cat. I'll just say that.
But then later on, I'd see him later on, like a year or two later, and just walking by, he'd be like looking at me like, "Hey, man, what's going on?"
Yeah,
I mean, you
He-
gotta
Wow.
catch him at the right moment, are you? Just Savini.
weird.
It's
he's
just-
so weird. Like I've met him like at a convention. You go up to his table and talk to him, and he just doesn't seem like he has the time of day for you. He's just like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, whatever. But if I bumped into him in the lobby of a hotel, and he was just as nice and cool as could be. Like he's just like, oh, excuse me. Oh, hey, are you going to the show? Like, because I was, going to that
Right.
convention later, and he was just like, oh, are you going? Oh, that's cool. I'll see you there, man. I'll see you there. And then I go and walk up to him at the convention, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, leave me alone. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
Are you? If you've got a
He's
nice
just a
hot
cat.
daughter with you, a nice 25-year-old daughter with you, that he's a bit
That's-
different.
that's the rumor. That's the rumor. Have an attractive woman with you, and he will light up
Talk all
like
day long.
Christmas. Yeah.
With regards to Romero, I was going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So he never made a slasher film, did he? I don't think.
No, not
Why
really.
do you think that was? He just because
Wasn't-
in the early 80s, it could have been like a profitable thing for him, and he had the Tom Savini kind of, influence as well. I would love to have seen that. I think
I get the vibe that that probably just wasn't his. He
Maybe
probably
not
didn't have
his
no
thing.
passion for it.
Yeah, it wasn't his style. He always said like he was never interested in doing like a Friday the 13th or anything like that. It just wasn't his thing. Like he wasn't interested in doing that. The closest he ever got to that, I guess, was probably Bruiser, but that's not really a slasher film at all.
is it
But
a
it was
serial killer film? Is it or
kind of, yeah. It's about a guy who goes crazy and kills people, and he's got a mask on. But it's not
that
really.
sounds good enough to me. I need to watch that one.
But it's not your typical slasher film. But
Right.
but yeah, George was never. It just seemed like George was never interested in doing that. So, and I've never really heard him talk about having an interest in doing that. Of all the unmade projects and stuff that he worked on and nothing ever came of, I've never, not that I can recall at least, never heard of like a slasher type of film that he ever wanted to do and just never did.
Yeah.
Just
I
didn't
think
just
we were
didn't interest
robbed,
him.
really. Yeah.
But it does make perfect sense, especially in that early '80s when Tom Savini's at the height of his powers, and it would have been interesting to see what he would have done with that genre, that concept. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I did have a question for you though. A couple of them. So I was gonna.
For me?
Unless you want to go through the chat right quick. Either way.
no, go ahead.
Okay. So if Romero never existed, what horror or genre of film would you gravitate towards? Do you think?
Genre of film would I gravitate to? Well, when I was a kid, I mean, it was all about Jason, Freddy Krueger, stuff like that. So I mean, that drew me in first and foremost. Like I remember being a little kid and like sitting with my dad watching Hellraiser, and I was like 4 or 5 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just enamored. I was just like, this is so cool, but I'm scared, but like this is fun. I don't understand how I feel about this.
Right.
So I think I would have been attracted to horror.
Okay.
In
You'd have been, yeah.
even if I'd never, because I've discovered Romero through my love of watching horror movies when I was a kid, and it just kind of one thing led to another.
And what was this is another question I got. So
Sure.
what was the one Romero film that got you where it sparked the passion about Romero? Like, was it the first one you saw, or which one was it? I'd say.
The easy answer would be Dawn. I mean, the first time I saw Dawn of the Dead, it was just like,
Okay.
because like playing the Resident Evil video games at first was kind of my introduction to zombies. I didn't know what the hell zombies were until I played Resident Evil. And it was like, oh, this is cool. What are these? Oh, they're zombies. And it's like, oh, you should watch Night of the Living Dead. Like, and I was like, okay. And then after all that, I remember my uncle who was really into horror, and he used to have the Fangoria magazines and stuff back in the day, and had all the good movies. And I remember being a kid, and we were just talking. I'm just like, oh, I'd love to. The perfect idea for a zombie movie to me would be they should make a zombie movie or a video game set in a shopping mall. That would be so cool. And he's like, actually, there is this one movie that's about zombies in a shopping mall. I'm like, oh, really? So I find it eventually and I rent it, and in my mind it's like, okay, it'll be in a shopping mall, but it'll just be like for a scene, or it'll take place, and it won't be my idea of what I would do in that situation. And then everything about that movie was exactly what I wanted to see. Like them killing all the zombies in the mall, locking the mall up, cleaning the mall up, living in the mall, having everything. And then it's just like, then all of a sudden a motorcycle gang breaks in. And it's just like, holy shit, it's like one thing after another. And like, as a kid, I was like, this is perfect. But I will say that the documentary that I saw on IFC back in the day, The American Nightmare. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah, I saw that back in the day, yeah, as well.
That's what kind of sparked my serious love of George and inspired me to look at horror movies in a completely different light. And instead of just being like, oh, these are scary movies, it's more of like, no, these movies mean more. There's more going on under the surface there. And it just really changed the way I was probably like 12, 13 when I first saw that documentary. It just changed the way I watched horror and looked at the genre in general. And I think that's what made me love the genre in those movies as much as I do now.
Right.
So I always give credit to that.
The Crazies is brought up in that documentary, isn't it? Romero's The Crazies,
Yeah,
I remember that.
And I remember, it's funny because I remember seeing, because they use a lot of clips from The Crazies in that documentary, and I remember seeing those clips, and I'm like, man, that movie looks fucked up. Like, what is that? I had no idea what the hell it was. And then I finally realized, oh, that's George Romero too. Holy shit. Like, so there's just something about George's style.
I dig Crazies a lot, man. Really.
Yeah, there's just something about his style, his outlook on the world, like his perception of the world that just rang true to me and always has. Like, I'm just like, because he was very cynical in terms of like humanity and it's just like, yeah, I mean,
social commentaries, right?
Yeah, it's like, turn on your TV now and look at people yelling and screaming at each other instead of any kind of constructive, conversation or anything. We're just fighting over who's right and who's wrong. And then it's like in Night of the Living Dead when Helen Cooper says, oh, it's important. That's the most important thing, isn't it, Harry? To be right, like that. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that's where we're at. It's like, right. It's not about solving anything. It's about who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway,
have you got any like holy grails that you want like linked to Romero in terms of, I don't know, like items or lost films? I don't know if there's any lost films out there. The amusement park to come out?
Yeah, the amusement park came out a couple of years back. I did too.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's a good take on like dementia.
Yeah, and
you ever seen that one, Darren?
I've not seen it. No, I've heard a lot about it.
Okay, it's man.
It's kind of like it's a experimental. Yeah, it's a weird little fucking movie.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed it too. Man,
that's early on too, right?
Yeah, that was right around the time that they did The Crazies. So it was like early 70s when they did that. And that was one of those things that got lost for, because he was hired to do it by the Lutheran Society. It was supposed to be a recruitment thing for the Lutheran Church. And just kind of showing like, oh, like I don't know why they hired Romero to do it, but it was like, all right, it's a job. And Romero turned it into this like fucked up, like experimental, trippy ass movie. And they immediately were just like, yeah, we're not using that. And they just fucking shelved it. And nobody ever saw it for all those years.
Right. I seen it on, I think first time I saw it was on Shudder.
Yeah. That's where it debuted. But in terms of like Holy Grails, I mean that Martin black and white 2.5 hour cut is definitely I have to see that before because that's the version that George loved. In any commentary or anything he ever talked about Martin, like he always brought up that he's like, oh man, I wish I knew whatever happened to that cut. That's I love that cut, and he unfortunately they ended up finding it after he had died, so he never got to see it, but it exists and it's out there. I don't know if anything's ever gonna happen to it, but that's my big must see thing before I die is that cut of Martin. So
there is something interesting as well. I was listening to Michael Felcher at one point, and he owns all the audio tapes of him and George going through all his films. I think that would be
That's a big one
Dynamite.
too.
People
Yes.
want that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So the for those of you guys who haven't heard that story, before George died, it was a few months before George died in 2017. He called Felsher and asked him, would you come up to, Canada where George was living at the time, Toronto? Can you come up to Toronto for a week or so and let's watch all of my movies and then let's sit down and record. I just want to go back and revisit all of my movies and I want to talk about them. And so Felsher went up there for a week or whatever it was, and they sat and watched every one of his movies from Night of the Living Dead all the way to Survival of the Dead, and and then after it was done, they would talk for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it was, about George's thoughts and feelings on the movies looking back, and it was funny because his opinions had changed, I guess, on set, because I know Felsher said that There's Always Vanilla, which is a movie that George always hated, never wanted to talk about, never wanted anything to do with. But for some reason, something about it, when he watched it during their time together, when he sat down and watched it again, he kind of started tearing up at the end. He started kind of tearing up, kind of like, oh man, and he's like, that's actually not bad. Like, that actually kind of works. Like, he kind of came around on it after all those years. So
Must have hit a memory or something.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a period of his life, that time period of the Latent Image and him and John Russo and Russ Streiner and all those guys. That was the last thing they all worked on together, and before they all split off and did their own thing. So, yeah, that's a big holy grail too. I got to hear. I've told Felsher that, like, when I talked to him in person, I'm just like, dude, those tapes, name a price, I'll give you a blank check or whatever you want, just shoot them on over. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with those yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's coming, I think.
So Romero's definitely your favorite director, and then Argento.
It flips between Argento and Kubrick depending on my
That's what I was going
mood.
to ask. Who would be your third favorite? So you just answered the question.
Yeah, Argento and Kubrick, it switches, it flips back and forth, depending on my moods and what I'm in the mood for.
Kubrick's my favorite director.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's Mario Bava. So
I like some Bava stuff. I'm not the biggest Mario Bava fan, though. I never really got big into Bava as much as I did Argento or Fulci or a lot of those other guys around that time. But yeah, Fulci's up there. Carpenter. Kevin Smith. Funny enough, I do love Kevin Smith. Clerks was a huge movie for me growing up.
Okay. And then it's Fulci, his third spot for me. So,
yeah, hard to argue against that. I do love Tarantino too. I gotta give some love to Tarantino. Huge Tarantino fan.
Right. So I got one more question.
Sure.
All right.
I'm on the spot.
If Romero had made a Giallo-like film, who would you have cast in the lead roles? Like, say, an American-style Giallo. Kind of like, I mean, it's kind of odd, right? But I think it's been...
Well, I'm trying to think. Giallo, you usually always have a beautiful woman in the lead role.
Yeah.
In some role. Ozzy Argento. I love some Ozzy.
I'm up for that all day long, man.
But one guy that George almost worked with on The Dark Half, that I would love to have seen him work with, didn't happen, but I'd love to have seen him work with, is Gary Oldman.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
If you put Romero directing a Giallo with Gary Oldman in the the detective role or whatnot, like give me that. I'll dig that. I think who else? Yeah, that's kind of the big one. I guess it just comes to mind because of The Dark Half and the what if if Gary Oldman had gotten that role, but that would have been an interesting one too. Like, I know Romero was never really that interested in doing a slasher, but something more of like a mystery, like an American Giallo type of film. That would have been something that I think maybe he would have been a little more receptive to. That'd have been interesting.
Yeah, like Dressed to Kill.
Yeah.
Similar.
Romero loved De Palma. Romero always referenced De Palma in terms of like when Romero would reference like a good filmmaker, like he'd always put himself down and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm not one of those good filmmakers like Brian De Palma or anything." But so yeah, I think Romero would have jumped at the chance to do like a Blowout or a Dress to Kill or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good question. So let me hit the chat here real quick, and I'll let you guys go. I know Darren, it's like what, 3 o'clock in the morning or something where you're.
It's 3:04. Yeah.
You really don't sleep, do you, man?
No, man. I'm living on like American hours.
I wouldn't bullshit either.
Because me and Dirk are like.
I told Romero, I said, man, I said, I don't think he sleeps, man.
Yeah. Literally, me and Dirk sometimes are talking till 4, 5, 6 in the morning after our streams and that.
Yeah. Trying to put ideas together and whatnot,
So I'm real behind, guys. I apologize, but I'm trying to catch the main ones here. No, we're good, man. Suzanne said I watched the super extended version of Dawn of the Dead. It seemed to have spliced several cuts. Yeah, there's the ultimate extended mall hours cuts that cuts everything together from the Argento and Romero's versions. That's the version that will be playing in hell when you guys.
Oh man,
you guys.
Yeah. Holy shit! Hitler's gonna be right next door to me, I guess. Shit.
Oh Lord, what am I gonna do with you guys? All right, jeez, I'm so far behind. Sorry,
He's
guys.
gonna be running the projector.
Yeah, Hitler's running the projector, and it's just on a repeat. And you're gonna be like bound like fucking Malcolm McDowell and Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
By God.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's Fascia Bruta translates to ugly face, another classic insult. There you go.
Okay.
Liquid Cooler. That's a new name. What's up, Liquid Cooler?
Yeah.
It says just watch Two Evil Eyes and Cemetery Man back to back. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, Cemetery Man.
That early '90s.
Yeah. Cemetery Man is high for me, man. Like,
It's a
we've even talked
masterpiece.
about doing a versus stream with Cemetery Man versus Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
That actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Suzanne says, I've yet to see Two Evil Eyes. It's been a while since I've seen Cemetery Man. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Two Evil Eyes, but if you're a Romero fan, definitely check it out. Because, I mean, you could see Dirk and Darren like Romero's half more than Dario's half, and I'm the opposite, and it shouldn't be that way, you would think.
It should be opposite, right? like we're into the Italian shit. You know,
I mean, it's worth a watch, even the Argento segment. You know?
Yeah.
the set pieces, I got to give it to Argento, though, for sure.
Suzanne finally watched Zombie Holocaust. Been meaning to for years. That's a fun one.
I love that one, man.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Jumping around here on the comments, so if I miss you, I apologize. Shit, I keep getting lost here. Scratch Bruno San Alejandro Jodorowsky's stuff is awesome.
That's that Santa Sangre.
Okay.
That's a weird ass movie, but I think you might dig it. You get a chance
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Poe classics on film with Vincent Price were good. Yeah, I liked a lot
man.
of the Vincent Price Poe stuff.
Yeah. Hitting the Pendulum and Follow the House of Usher and The Raven, which we need to get on.
What does this mean, Drunkenstein? The original Invisible Man is a cracker. I don't know what that means. No, the Chevy Chase movie. Okay. I forget we talked about the fucking Carpenter Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I remember hearing this. Carpenter said Chevy Chase was his most difficult actor ever in many ways on Memoirs. Yeah, I've heard that before.
I've heard that
a
couple times about Chevy Chase.
Mhm.
Other directors.
Mayor says I don't like either story in Two Evil Eyes.
Okay.
Sense says I wanted to like Two Evil Eyes, but a rough watch.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
It's saying Two Evil Eyes is another movie that was not available anywhere near here. It wasn't until the internet I was able to get a VHS copy. I kind of dig it. Too slow in parts. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Suspiria was great, says Drunkenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't Tales from the Crypt originally a British film production in the 1970s? Yeah, there was the movie Tales from the Crypt.
72.
72.
You got John Collins, haven't you, in the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Killer Santa.
Hitchcock was an asshole.
Yeah.
A lot of filmmakers. I mean,
but
people say
aren't-
Kubrick was an asshole too. So
Yeah, a lot of the great directors were.
yeah,
So,
it's
or still are.
It's weird how George was completely different, though. He's such a lovable, likable
Same with
person.
Hooper.
No
who-
one talks shit ever on George Romero's.
Right.
Yeah.
So it proves you can do it. You know, you can be a nice guy and still do it.
Yeah.
Let me see. Since the sucker for Hooper's Life Force.
Oh yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, man.
Somebody was talking about that here recently. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen Life Force, but I remember watching it.
You get a lot of eye candy in that.
Yeah, I do remember that. I did not forget that part of it. Suzanne said, I saw some of it and thought it was decent. The emaciated vampire coming back to life made this hardened horror fan jump. What did I miss? What am I talking about?
They talking about Life Force?
Oh, Life Force. Gotcha.
Space vampires.
Robert Harvest Night 90 Forever. I know you big fan of that one, Robert. Savini is famously moody. I think that's putting it lightly.
Understatement of the year.
But it's so weird because you see him sometimes. He just seems like the nicest, most down to earth guy.
You
and then
walk
you meet him in
by him, he's
person.
cool as hell. But at the table, he's just like, don't want to be there.
If you try to pay him for something, he's like, "Fuck you, get away from me."
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, that's true. Sent technically, Martin slashes his victims, so he's kind of a slasher with the razor blades.
Yeah.
I guess since as a kid, I saw The Omen in the theater and The Shining at the drive-in. Changed my life. Terrified, but I loved them. Yeah, I'd love to have seen The Shining in a drive-in like that.
Yeah, man.
That'd be perfect. Rick says, have you noticed between 1990 and 2000 there was not much going on in the zombie genre with any new projects? I think mainly since neighborhood video rental stores and chain stores like Blockbusters or Planet Hollywood renting, you bumped into your high school classmates looking for new releases. Yeah, the 90s were pretty dead for zombies and the zombie genre until Resident Evil came along, and then there was like, oh, there's some interest in this again.
28 Days, right?
28 Days Later was really the big one, I think, that kind of changed, because I mean you got to think about that. The 90s, the zombie genre had already been parodied, and I mean you had Thriller, and it was just kind of played out by the end of the 80s. And by the time 28 Days Later came out, it just kind of reinvented the genre and as a whole. And I know a lot of people say like 28 Days Later is not a quote unquote zombie film, it's more of an infected person's film, but yeah, it's a fucking zombie movie. Like it plays like a zombie movie, you know.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I think that changed it
like
forever, you know.
It's kind of like the Lindsay statement, right? Like
yeah.
Nightmare City.
It's a fucking infected people movie.
Yeah.
But how many any slashers in the 90s can you name that were good? Apart from maybe Candyman, I don't know if you would call that a slasher anyway. I can't think of too many. So I just think the 90s.
Well, I guess you had that like neo. Well, what do they call it? Like the neo slasher, like in the late 90s after Scream, and there's
Urban
I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, that whole thing.
I would say that Clive Barker's Nightbreed kind of was a slasher with Dr. Decker.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially the Dr. Decker segment. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm. Yeah. I am a fan of those
Cronenberg
kind of 90s ones.
Cronenberg.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I can't think of too many like slash. I mean, you had like
early
low budget.
It's hard.
Like straight to video stuff, like like The Dentist and The Ugly, like shit
Dr.
like that. Like
Dr. Giggles.
Dr. Giggles.
Dr. Giggles is a good one. Haunted Ween. There's a few, but not too many.
Yeah, there wasn't much of good horror it's not around here, especially in the early 90s.
Candyman would be the big one for me.
Yeah.
I think of.
Candyman.
I like Halloween 6. I'm a big fan of that one. But I can't think of too many I like in the 90s.
It's my tattoo, the Mark of Thorn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they were still trying to do some of the franchise stuff. I mean, you had, New Nightmare and, Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell, and...
Yeah.
Yeah, there just wasn't much during that time period. Matt said, I don't think I'll hit up Savini's table again after this last time. Kind of done with him in that setting. Yeah, I think it's a lot of people's thought process when it comes to Tom.
So he's had multiple visits with Savini then, by the looks of it.
Yeah. I mean, shit, Savini's at pretty much most conventions you go to.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I've seen him at every Texas Frightmare.
So. And he seems miserable at every single one.
Yeah, he's miserable at when Matt goes to see him, particularly.
Yeah.
So Matt likes Jason Goes to Hell. I've never been a big fan of that one. That one gets love, but I'm just like,
I don't mind it. I saw it in the theater though with a bunch of friends, and it was it's kind of there's an old memory of a friend that passed on, and we stopped at McDonald's before we went in there, and we dared him to go into McDonald's and scream, "I'm having a Mac attack," and he fucking did it. And we told him we'd give him like $10 if he fucking did it, and we ended up not even giving him the $10. But I mean,
you ended up welching on the bed anyway, so it was like, oh, whatever.
But this is
That's more memorable than the film you saw, actually.
Yeah.
But
more memorable.
He did weird shit all the time, and like, I'll go run into this fucking tree right here, you know, just stupid shit.
That was before Jackass as well, was it?
On my head. All right, man. Go. I dare you to do that shit. Anyway.
I think we all had that one friend that you could talk into doing pretty much anything.
Yeah, we called him DA. He carved because he was carving DA in his fucking leg in gym class. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I said, what does DA mean? He's like, dumbass. I was like, oh, holy shit.
And that was the moment you realized we're going to be friends.
Yeah. But he'd do anything you dared him to do.
That's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right.
But
well, guys, what do you guys got coming up on your podcast coming up? Are you doing a stream tomorrow night, I believe?
Yeah. We'll be on Dead Pit, multi-stream with Dead Pit, and then our channel, Subjective Perspective Collective, covering Dario Argento, of all things, Doorway into Darkness.
I've yet to see that. Because that came out, was that Severin?
Severin put out the deep cuts, and it's got Luigi Cozzi, Dario Argento. Who else is on there, Darren?
There's a couple of more obscure
we're gonna do it,
directors, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do it in 4 different streams.
Okay.
Because it's a lot to it. So we're just going to cover 2 of the episodes. There's tomorrow with Johnny's Boutique podcast to be on there with us on the Eurocrypt.
Okay.
And yeah, be going through everything. The Doorway into Darkness.
Yeah.
Very cool. Look forward to that.
And we recently did.
What does that mean? Maybe he was a Dario Argento fan. What does that mean, Sam?
And we'll go in.
The DA. He's carving DA into his. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I gotcha. Makes sense.
We recently covered Alice Sweet Alice. Did like a full in-depth deep dive, and YouTube unfortunately gave me a copyright on all the clips that I had.
Oh yeah.
It kind of pissed me off because.
Yeah, don't get me started on YouTube. I've been having my my issues with YouTube here lately. So.
But yeah, if anybody interested, check out on Subjective Perspective Collective our deep dive on Alice Sweet Alice, Holy Terror.
Yeah, check them out. I got their links to their to the Subjective Perspective Collective page as well as the Dead Pit page. You can catch them on there because you guys do the little simulcast on both. So
yeah,
it's down in the description if you guys are. Make sure to check that out. What's up, Kenneth? So that's not how it works. You give them for doing something stupid. Yeah, you pay them to do something stupid.
Well, he offered up stupid shit all the time. So
yeah. But yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
3 hours tonight. Yeah. And anytime you guys want to come back on, you're more than welcome to, as always.
Right.
Trying to think, what do I got to promote? I don't know. Shop.alpharomero.store. It's t-shirts and designs and mugs and stickers and all kinds of shit on there. Make sure you guys check that out. Appreciate it. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're watching for the first time. I don't know, whatever else you got to do. Hit the notifications bell. That's a thing that you do on YouTube, I guess. I gotta like make notes so I can remember what all to fucking say and do here. But appreciate everybody in the chat. It's been a pretty fun, lively chat. Sorry I didn't get to all your comments tonight, but you know how it goes when I have multiple people on here and we just kind of get into the flow of things.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But I think people just kind of enjoy listening to the conversation because you can see there's lulls in the comments after when we're kind of on a roll. So
I'm surprised it didn't get a little crazier than it did with the Dawn talking.
Yeah, you guys didn't get a whole lot of attacking your attacks going, but
somebody was coming for me.
good to see. Yeah, good to see Ed, Synth. Bonnie says enjoyed this a lot. Thanks and good night. Always a pleasure, Bonnie. Rick says a good session would be on the Hills Have Eyes. Yeah, I love Hills Have Eyes.
Yep.
Kenneth, have a good night, my man. No worries. Mayor, pleasure as always. Aro, thanks for hanging out, my man.
Man,
Rick,
it's been a great
always a
chat.
pleasure.
Yeah, been awesome.
So, but yeah, thanks again to the Eurocrypt podcast. Check them out down below, Subjective Perspective Collective, and at the Dead Pit YouTube channel. And as always, appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for joining me. And let me see me get this teed up here so we can end on the right note. Thanks again, guys. Have a good rest of the night. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, man. But yeah, everybody out there, have a good rest of the night, good rest of the week. And as always, stay scared.